Good morning, world. My name is Nicolás Eliades, beaming live from COP26 for COP26 TV, the brand new channel we're just launching right now, so you are privy to first in history. A 12-hour live streaming extravaganza coming to you live from COP26. But what is COP? COP is the Conference of the Parties, and behind me are the parties. And all sorts of people from across the world who have come here to discuss the future of our planet. Is it enough? Will it make a difference? You will find out with us during the next 12 days. COP26 TV is a concept that has come together by a group of ardent professionals and amateurs who just want to get the word out and give a platform to voices that are not usually heard. Those include the voices of activists, they include the voices of journalists and their opinions, the voices of delegates, the voices of even the workers here. And just to get a different perspective of what's going on. Myself, Nicolás Eliades, will be presenting a show called COP In, COP Out, where we will unpack the news of the day and meet what the people inside. Meanwhile, my colleague will be presenting the show Word on the Street, Ferguson, and he will be telling you what's going on outside. Glasgow is alive, there's a buzz. You can even feel the sensation here in this room, because this is the biggest summit of world leaders the United Kingdom has ever hosted in its history. And it comes at a time as well after 2 years of pandemic, which makes the logistics of it all that much more difficult. In this time, we're going to talk about a bit of how we got in here, what that looks like. Ferguson will be outside showing you what is going outside in the world of activism, in the protests, and in other activities that are going around. We also have Mambiosis by George Monbiot, the Guardian journalist, who will be broadcast at 2 o'clock, in which he will analyze some of the most important and striking elements of climate change and what can be done, what are the solutions, whether they're radical or whether these kind of settings actually work for something. We also have Global Voices, a rundown. I hope to welcome my colleague Melissa Jimenez on later, hosted by 2 South American ladies who will be unpacking Global Voices, where we hear what is going on around the world in parallel to this conference. What is happening, for example, in Uganda? What is happening, for example, in South Africa, in Colombia, and so forth and so on. And throughout the screening, you'll have videos and movies that will tell you the story of climate, give you the human element about this reality we're living. Because don't forget, the climate and ecological emergency is the biggest crisis humanity has ever faced collectively. And COP26 has been slated as a last chance to actually do something about it. But what is actually going on right now in Glasgow? Let's just bring you to the scene a bit. President Biden of the United States has just landed. So I was on my way here. To get here was chaotic. All the roads are cut. Even access to the main entrances is difficult. But we finally passed all the security barriers and all the different levels of security. First, the Scottish security, and then the UN security. Because where we are standing right now is United Nations jurisdiction. The United Kingdom has no legal jurisdiction right here. So if I was to commit a crime here, I would be processed by the United Nations courts, not the UK. So you actually have to get into a new country, basically, and you pass through all that rigmarole of security. And because all the presidents and king's horses are coming right now, what can we do? Go wait and wait and wait. And you will have found outside a big throng of people, big masses of people just pushing and shoving and pushing and shoving until we get funneled into a long series of rope extensions that take us to a security area. There have been a few numbers, just to put this into consideration. There's over 25,000 people here right now. 3,000 journalists accredited, the most journalists ever accredited, and all here to talk about climate. Why such interest this time? Because this is the first time the climate agreement signed in Paris in 2015 will be reviewed. Not only that, but some of the loose ends will also be tied up, because there are certain elements of that treaty that have not been in place to measure exactly what it is each country must be committed to do. Already, this conference is beginning off on a wobbly foot. John Kerry, the American czar, the United States czar for climate, who which means essentially he is the guru of climate in the United States, who's going to lead the United States towards a climate-friendly policy, already yesterday said, speaking at a G20 summit held in Rome, where most of those leaders are coming from to here today, said, this is not about finding solutions, this is about galvanizing. Yeah, let's just ponder on that for a second. We just had a summer in which Germany flooded, in which China, in which 50 degrees in Canada, where it's meant to be 20 degrees. I'll say that again. 50 degrees in Canada, where it's meant to be 23 on average. The forest fires that sparked blotted out the sun in New York. So it seems to all of us here, considering the hubbub, that this is not the time to galvanize. This is the time for action. And so it is our hope that these delegates from around the world will actually push for that. On the table, we have some very interesting issues, like, for example, the money, which relates directly to the concept of climate justice. At a previous COP, it was agreed that the developing world would contribute $100 billion a year to the developing world so that they might finance adaptation and mitigation to climate change. Because thanks to climate unfriendly policies, the developed world has managed to be developed. So it's only fair the developing world has assistance to get to the same place, but without polluting. And for that, money is necessary and a transfer of technology. Now, the sad part about this is that for the past 2 years, they have come hopelessly short of fulfilling this goal of 100 billion. 2 years ago, they came 20 billion short, which, you know, in the greater scheme of things, doesn't seem like much, but it's a huge amount when it comes to saving the planet. And ultimately, it'll cost much more to fix the wrongs we're creating now. Just to take this into consideration, consider the US oil and gas lobby, by pushing the myth of climate denialism, managed to rack up $1 trillion in profits. At the same time, the cost and the impact of climate change on the United States alone has cost US citizens $1 trillion. So that is a perfect example of how climate change is just a transfer of funds from one group to the other. And the result is that we were going to have a devastating planet. What we're trying to achieve at this COP is to agree to policies that will keep the temperature at below 1.5 degrees by the end of the century. This is achieved through climate pledges that were agreed through the Paris Agreement 2 years ago. These climate pledges, roadmaps, if you like, to finding a way to keep it below 1.5 have come in. Not all of them. Australia is missing, Saudi Arabia is missing, notable countries are missing. And if we add up the 60 to 70% that have come in, we are still at a 2.7 degree rise in temperature. But what does that actually mean? We'll say 0.7%, what's the difference? When Paris is about 2 degrees to 1.5 degrees, the difference is devastation. The difference between 1.5 degrees and 2 degrees is that at 1.5 degrees, 10% of the coral reefs will survive. At 2 degrees, none. They will all be bleached by the end of the century. At 1.5%, the sea level, the sea acidity levels will remain enough to sustain life. By 2, it has the potential to wipe out life in the seas. There is a magnificent amount of difference between 0.5 degrees, and that is why it's so crucial that our leaders, if they call themselves, and want to call themselves that, get working and find solutions so that future generations, because it's not about you or me, we'll be long gone by the time the worst of this rolls in. We're already beginning to see it. And that's why this is so important. But if we have comments like galvanization of things as the priority, well, then we're in trouble. In the meantime, we also have people like Greta Thunberg in town who will be giving a press conference later. And that, of course, does galvanize activity outside. She famously said in a speech recently that she just thinks it's another round of blah, 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 blah. And we shall see. I would like to just... Could you follow me? Yes? we're gonna, I just want to show you a bit of the feeling around the area, just to show you a bit of what it feels like, and maybe talk to some people. Sir, can I talk to you? No? 1 minute? No? People are shy, and of course, since a lot of them are government representatives, they can't speak without authorization. But just now, just to tell you a bit of what the feeling was. Heads of state are arriving, presidents are arriving. I see that, I saw the president of Thailand just walked past me, running in that direction. Also a minister of from India. And you see a lot of different delegates who are just about, today is the Leaders Summit. Today we've got the first 2 days, and the Leaders Summit is where the world leaders are coming to talk and see, because they're coming from, many of them, 20 of them, from the G20 Summit. And so today is really just very much a day of fanfare and regalia and just excitement. It's vibrant. But I think there's not that much hope in terms of what we can expect from this. We're also going to have people on the show who are going to talk to us from their perspective and tell us a bit about their experiences from climate. We can't walk around. Okay, so let me tell you a bit about the lineup we have for COP26. George Monbiot, Anaruda Vitali, and Melissa Jimenez are our lead journalists who will be taking us across the world from different perspectives and also unpacking things like greenwashing, unpacking things like what the actual appropriate response by society could be to do this. You will also have contributors from Africa, from Latin America, and from as much as the cities as the rural areas, and just to make and understand what the hype and what the mess is about.
No, will you speak
what
to
the
him?
hype and the mess is about.
He's a journalist, he's just reporting about here. Would you want to speak to him?
And we're trying to get delegates, you know.
Yeah.
Actually, you know what?
About
I was going to do this with selfie stick, and I was going to do this walking around and showing you. But with all this promotion, it's actually been quite difficult to get that right. So what we do is we've got a tripod here, and this is why I'm talking to my producer, which is right behind you, and that's what is actually going on. But the idea was to have a roving reporter going around, and that's what we will be doing. It's just a bit difficult with all these songs and masses. And the idea is I would like for you to meet all sorts of people. Can I talk to you? All sorts of people here who come from all over the world and can just tell us their perspective, which would be great. You know, people from the parties. Let's talk a bit about what the parties are. The parties are the countries. And where does the concept of COP come from? The concept of COP was born at the Rio Summit in 1992, when the world came together to see, you know, for a better world, for a transition. And they decided there that they were going to now set up the UNFCCC, which is the United Nations Secretariat, which would be charged with uniting the world in a policy to tackle climate change, which was already known by then. In fact, climate change, the first article that talked about greenhouse effects in the world was published in New Zealand in 1895, as long as
would you like to?
But,
well,
realistically, scientists have been touting this
you coming
since
here?
the
It's just live at the moment.
It's been a fact,
great.
and it's also a fact that fossil fuel companies have got a long way to push that. I'm going to stop there for a second and invite a guest into the show. Hi there, sir.
Hi.
How are you?
Very well, thank you. How are you?
Very good. What's your name, please?
My name is Robert Mbowe.
Robert.
Yeah, and I come from Kenya.
From Kenya? I was born in Kenya.
Oh, good.
And what?
So was I.
Yes. And so you're from Nairobi?
I'm from Nairobi.
Okay. And what brought you here today? You're a member of the delegation of the
I'm a
Kenyan
member of the
government?
Kenyan delegation.
Okay.
I'm very keen on following Article 6 matters
Okay.
and any matters related to leveraging private capital investment into climate action.
Okay.
That's largely going to happen in the green zone.
Okay. Could you tell us a bit about Article 6?
Article 6 is about what we might want to call market-based mechanisms, using the market rules and laws of supply and demand
Okay.
to meet climate-related obligations.
Okay.
Yeah.
And Kenya, how has Kenya suffered the impacts of climate change? I understand that
Bigly.
Yes.
Is there such a word? It's entered the vocabulary these days. Bigly.
Bigly. I believe there is now.
Yeah, we're suffering increased incidences of drought, increased intensity of drought, flooding, temperature rise. Kenya's got a rather large coastline, so there's sea level rise issues as well. It's hit us in all manner of ways, actually.
I understand that there's several lakes in Kenya that are shrinking.
There are lakes that are shrinking, there are lakes that are disappearing, and then there are lakes that are
Growing. Appearing.
flooding, yes. So it happens both ways.
It's a yo-yo.
Yeah.
And now, I know Mount Kilimanjaro is not in Kenya, but it's right next to it, and you can see it from Kenya. I understand that is the last big glacier in Africa. What is happening to it right now?
Well, 20, 30 years ago, it was permanently snow-capped.
Yes.
Now the snow cap's receding, and parts of it have disappeared in its entirety. That's largely because of global warming.
And do you predict that it's going to not have any snow anytime in the near future?
It's difficult to predict with climate change, because like you say, it's a yo-yo. Some go that way, some go this way. So you might find that snows come even further down the mountain line. You might find that it's disappeared altogether.
Oh, well, we hope
We'll need climate modeling experts for that kind of thing, but the reality is that it's not going to stay the same.
Now,
Significant change is going to take place, and we'll need to adapt to that change.
now, Kenya has always prided itself in being an ecological leader in Africa, especially with examples like Wangari Maathai and its policies with regards to the Nairobi National Park, which I understand is the biggest and the only national park within the capital city. Could you explain to me a bit about how the government of Kenya proposes to tackle climate change, and what has it promised in its climate pledges? Is there anything you can explain to me about that?
We've got a pretty comprehensive NDC, a nationally determined commitment. We've got a few policy papers in place. All our sectors are pulling together to try and work towards meeting the 1.5 degree target. So government's fully on board. Our private sector in Kenya is also leading the charge, doing their bit, trying to leverage greater investment into climate action. Kenya is a leading member of the Africa Group of Negotiations, trying to push for the agenda items, especially around adaptation to climate change. So yes, we are doing our part. A lot more can be done, but we are doing what we can do.
Okay, and so what message does the African negotiators and Kenya specifically have to global north and to developed economies, especially the G20 you just met yesterday in Rome? Is there a message for them and their
The G20 need to walk the talk. They need to put their money where their mouth is, especially for adaptation, which is a priority for most developing countries, which is most of Africa, and especially the LDCs and the small island development states. But ultimately, we all have to work together. So we need to get those cooperative mechanisms in place, and we all have to pull together with a target of 1.5, not 2, not 2.5, but 1.5.
1.5, do you think we'll get there?
Touch wood.
Touch wood.
Yeah.
And well, how do you feel about that goal as we begin this 12 days marathon of actually saving the planet? Do you think there's hope?
Well, everyone's making all the right noises. Let's wait and see if they actually
They deliver.
Yeah.
Walk the talk, as you said at the beginning of the shop. Yes. Well, asante sana.
Asante sana.
Thank you very much for your time, and I hope for the sake of us that your team is successful and that Africa leads the way.
For the sake of all of us.
For the sake of all of us.
Yeah.
Thank you very much. Have a good day. Well, there you have it, ladies and gentlemen. Straight from the mouth of a Kenyan party delegate, telling us about how actually, yes, climate change, if you might not know, but Kenya is on the equator. And so being in that geographic position, it is very much privy to climate change, its greatest impact. Just north of Kenya is Mount Kilimanjaro in Tanzania, which has Africa's last glacier, and that is fast disappearing. They predict that by 2030 it will no longer have snow. But of course, as we just heard, that is unpredictable because the whole thing is a bit of a yo-yo. He was just telling us how in Kenya you've got lakes that are disappearing, lakes that are appearing, villages that are flooding, people that are dying of droughts, So it really is a free-for-all in terms of a climate crisis, and everything is possible, everything will happen. It's not just about global heating, but it's about extreme weather phenomenon, which have become the new normal. What we have seen this year, China, Germany, Canada, the bushfires of Australia 2 years ago, the Amazonian fires. The Arctic was burning, for crying in a bucket. That, I'm afraid, is the new normal. And that is exactly what this gentleman was just telling us about from his perspective of Africa. He comes here hopeful. He comes here hopeful, and he says it's for all of us. Indeed, it is for all of us. But if you look at our reaction, the way we've dealt with the pandemic, which, by the way, this is the first and the greatest, biggest event that has been held since the pandemic began. I'm not wearing my mask, but it's obligatory to wear a mask. That just shows a bit of how world and global cooperation works, or doesn't work, rather. Because reports have recently been released that say, had the global north, or had developing countries actually provided vaccinations to the people in the global south, we would have 1 year less of this nightmare that the pandemic has become. And the same is so for climate change. If we do not come together and act as one, as a conference of the parties indeed, then we shall fail in this mission, and we are condemning our children and our children's children to the possibility of 20% chance of extinction. But worse than that, a real Mad Max reality, where deserts and where floods and rising waters are just impossible to battle. I have another guest coming to join you. Hi, how are you?
Fine.
What is your name?
My name is Nasreen.
Nasreen, where are you from?
I'm from Sudan.
Sudan, oh.
Yeah.
Did you come from Sudan just now?
No, we can't because there is a military coup and they closed the airport.
Okay.
So I didn't come from Sudan now.
So where were you?
I was in Paris.
You were in Paris, and you just come to Paris just before the coup d'etat?
Yes.
Well, that was lucky.
Yeah, that's true.
Well, first of all, I'm sorry for the troubles that your country's going through. And secondly, what are you doing here? Were you here part of the party delegation of Sudan?
Well, first of all, yes, I'm part of the party delegation of Sudan. I'm negotiating technology transfer with the African group of negotiators.
Okay.
I'm also the chair of the UN Secretary General's Youth Advisory Group on Climate Change.
Could you say that just a little bit slower?
Chair of the UN Secretary General Youth Advisory Group on Climate Change.
Bravo.
So Mr. Antonio Guterres decided to have a youth advisory group after the Youth Climate Summit in New York in 2019. And we are 7, and I'm chairing this group.
Well done you. And actually, out of interest, I know it's rude, but how old are you? Just to understand that.
How old I look?
I think you're 22?
A bit more.
A bit more? Well then, keep connecting on. So, what actually does that role entail? What does that mean?
Well, we are practically the bridge between the Secretary General and young people, and the opposite between young people and the Secretary General. We also try to give the youth perspective to the Secretary General on different things like these conferences, like how UN is doing regarding climate change and youth inclusion, and how we think about it, because Secretary General have a climate action strategy.
Yes.
And we also give advice on the implementation of the climate action strategy.
So you actually have active meetings with Mr. Guterres, the Secretary General of the United Nations?
Yes.
And how do you find working with him?
It's so pleasant. He's a very understanding person, and he also very much advocating for climate change and young people. Yet the system is not that flexible.
Which system? The United Nations system?
No, the general system. Yeah, the whole world system. And the United Nations system is one of it also. But I mean, we are doing everything we can just to make things go, because we don't have any other option or any other choice.
And now, what impact do you guys have as a team? Does it actually, have you seen your words that you say to Mr. Guterres actually become real?
Yes.
Explain to me one example of that.
Yeah, we always do edits to the climate strategy.
Okay.
We also sometimes contribute to the speeches he gives. And also sometimes we have like some critical views about different practices.
Yes.
And he always do actions on the critical views that we have.
So you're a team of 7 youths who sit and advise the Secretary General of the United Nations on climate policy. That's pretty impressive.
Thank you.
And how did you get to be a part of it?
I got nominated.
You got nominated?
Yes. So they requested nomination from different organizations around the world, big organizations. And the nominations was, I think, 600 or something. And then they filtered the nominees, and until we reached the 7 of us.
Well, congratulations,
Thank
Mazel
you.
Tov, and wonderful. That's so good.
Thank you.
Well, I think, you're doing such an important job, and I thank you on behalf of all of us who are watching you and, from the planet, because you're our leaders, you're our future leaders, because our leaders are basically failing us, are they not? And we need people like you and your colleagues there. So I thank you.
Thank you.
And, just one last word. What do you expect of this? Do you think it's going to be a success?
Well, I hope. Expectations currently are hopes, and we expect what we hope, and we hope is what we expect. So yes, I hope it's a success. Otherwise, we're just wasting our time and our resources and our health, because traveling in the COVID situation is not really a pleasant thing. And we came all the way here, resources, time, effort, sweat, everything, just to make it a success. So yeah, crossing fingers and really hoping and demanding, of course, for good things to happen.
Well, thank you very much for your time, and I wish you all the success for our sake, for all our sake.
Yeah, thank
you. Well, there you have it, ladies and gentlemen. That is, we hope with fingers crossed, because that is all we can do. We have not much more to think about this, because you know what? If it begins with the United States saying, "Oh, it's the time to galvanize," well, we shall see. You have seen there is cautious optimism here on the ground. Let's see where it takes us. Join me again at 6:30, so we can do another unpacking with the events of the day. And immediately after me, join Nigel. He will, Fergal, who will be live streaming from outside in Word on the Street. This has been Nicolás Eliades for Cop In, Cop Out, and let's see if it is a cop out.
Hello, everyone. My name is Ina-Maria Shikongo, frontline defender from Namibia. And as we are slowly approaching COP26, I'd love to ask countries of the G7, the G20, to please control your companies. Your companies are coming from the global north, like Recon Africa, coming here to destroy the Kavango Basin for the biggest share play of the decade. They have apparently government support, but not the people's support. These companies are undermining our efforts, our global efforts, to stick to 1.5 degrees. The climate crisis is here. We can see it. We can see that it's burning on your side. We can see that you people are being flooded. Now you are also on the front line of the climate crisis, not only us anymore. The only difference is that with us, it comes with the climate injustice. People are losing their lands. Waters are being poisoned. Biodiversity is going extinct, so others can pocket. And then you sit there at COP26 saying, yes, we're going to cut the carbon emissions, while your countries are coming to our countries to add on to that carbon budget, because they can do whatever they want here, apparently. COP26, this is a matter of survival for my people, for my culture, for my heritage that has been ripped from my mother's womb centuries ago. We are watching you, and control your companies. COP26, again, a reminder, we are watching you.
My name is Jonathan Olenyi. I'm from Uganda, East Africa, and I'm from Eastern Uganda, particularly in Tororo. And I'm really happy to meet my fellow challengers, and I would love to appeal to the whole world that let us come together and treat a crisis like a crisis. Let us not politicize certain things. I feel hurt because some of the people who are living in communities, they don't know exactly what is going on. So we, the young generation, we have to step up for them to save generations to come. You know, some of our leaders, they pretend to be our leaders, yet they're the first people who go behind us. You know, it takes one signature for a fossil fuel company or a new oil field to be created. And my people who are living in communities, more so the illiterate, they don't know the effects of climate change. When we get to them and we talk to them, they say, oh, does such a thing exist? Why couldn't you people come so early to tell us what exactly happened like this? Because they see and feel the changes, like during droughts, floods, low crop yields. I really appeal not only to Ugandans, not only to Africa, but to the whole world at large, to come together and let us make a difference. Thank you.
Hola, buenos días. Hello, my name is Juliana. I am sending this video from a very small city in the coast of Argentina. The name of my city is Necochea. We're fighting against the fossil fuels industry, particularly an enterprise from Norway called Equinor. This enterprise is starting and wants to continue with their fossil fuel extraction. They're making seismic exploration in our seas. It's causing the death of our whales. It's killing our fauna. It's killing our animals. We really need to address this. We need your force. If you can go to Equinor, if you can do things there, you can tell them we're desperate. We need them to stop. We need them to think another ways of making their profit or whatever that doesn't involucrates the killing and the death of our biodiversity. I'm very happy to be able to send this message. I hope my English is good enough so you can understand me, and hope to see you soon here in our small town by the sea.
Good day, everyone. My name is Mamo Sweu. Our biggest crisis in Watterdal is water. Our water supply is very low and poor. So for people who live upslopes, so it's worse because they can't get even a drop of water. We even went to municipality to demand JoJo tanks so that we are able to store our own water. But they only gave us 3 JoJo tanks, and so that 3 JoJo tanks, they have to supply 100 households with water. So you can imagine how hard is it for us in Watterdal. And for other households, it's even worse because you find in one household, there will be family of 6, family of 4. And after the water is finished, then we have to go look for water in another cities. We have to walk long distance to get water. And then now people are even starting to sell water for us. You find that you will spend 10 rand for 20 liter. So for us, we are not even working. If I fill up this bucket, the 9 liter bucket, it means it has to last me for about a day. Climate change affected the weather patterns, so we don't have enough rainfall. So our veggies and herbs or our plantations, they suffer a lot. Our plants are dying because of drought or because of heat wave. We're running out of water. So we only have water from JoJo tanks. So we can't water our plant anymore, even if we have that mulching.
Welcome to COP26.tv, the first Word on the Street session of the week. We're here for 2 weeks covering actions. It's the alternative view of COP26. We're going around Glasgow, stalking out what's going on in the civil society and grassroots world. People coming into Glasgow from all over the world. and not many of them can actually get into the blue zone where all of the discussions are happening, and not many people can get actually into the green zone either, which is a place where you can book to see talks and stands and things like that. There's loads of people here who have a lot to say, who are affected by climate change around the world but haven't been given that voice. So we're out on the street trying to find some actions. I have to say this morning it hasn't been particularly successful. I'm stalking up, I'm on a very prominent street in Glasgow trying to find an action I've been told about by my network of contacts. We're a very small team, but we've got feelers out on the ground. I'm going to look for that action for you. But while we're doing that, I'm going to show you something that I recorded at the Blue Zone, just outside the Blue Zone this morning. So some of you who watched our stream a few days ago might have come across the Pilgrims Procession and the Camino to COP, which is a Extinction Rebellion Faith Bridge initiative that marched here over the course of, I think it was 56 days in the end, from London to Glasgow. They arrived at the weekend, and today and every day during COP they're going to be presenting their coat of hopes at as far as they can get towards the blue zone, so right up against the metal gates there. And it's a beautiful, beautiful artistic action. They've been weaving in pieces of embroidered cloth into this coat as they march up the country, and they're presenting it to leaders who'll listen to them. So I took a clip. We're going to cut to that. This is about 9 o'clock this morning, right outside the blue zone. So I hope you enjoy that, and I'll look for that action for you.
From town to town, to where leaders are gathering like brooks before the storm. Ask me where I'm going. Ask me what is my purpose. Ask me what my name is. They call me the coat of hope. Ask me where I'm going. Ask me what is my purpose. Ask me what my name is. They call me the coat of hope. So here's my invitation. Come and make me who I'll be. Come mark your hopes on blanket and I'll sew them into me. A coat that's made by everyone for everyone to wear. To feel my warmth and the weight of responsibility we share. Ask me where I'm going. Ask me what is my purpose.
Hello there. Hi, welcome to COP26 TV. This is Fergal from outside COP, giving word on the street. what's actually happening right in front of COP. And I'm going to be giving interviews with people on the ground, off the cuff, unscripted. I'm going to bring you around. I'm going to be the eyes and ears on the ground during the next 14 days. It's quite cold out here already. I've been speaking to people from various different parts of the globe. It's quite amazing. It's been coming together. It's pretty terrifying, the whole concept of the 2 weeks of the summit. We already know that COP26 is a failure because we're supposed to be staying below 1.5 degrees, what we agreed in Paris, which obviously that's not going to happen. So what I'm going to do, I am just going to introduce you to a couple of people here. Hi guys, how you doing? We were speaking earlier. Konnichiwa.
Konnichiwa.
Otenki desu ka?
Hi, ogenki desu.
Otenki desu. Where are you guys from?
I'm from Japan.
Japan.
Yeah.
So desu ne.
Thank you.
Okay, what's your name?
My name is Haruhisa.
Haruhisa. And what is your name?
I'm a Minori.
Minori.
Yeah.
Arigato gozaimasu.
Thank you.
And so what are you doing here in these cold streets in Glasgow?
I am a student from Japan. I'm a high school student from Japan, and we came here to demand the Japanese government to stop using coal power plant, and also Japanese government to raise their carbon reduction target. And yes, and also we came here that climate movement in Japan is still
in a bad mood.
yeah, and not enough for future. So by coming here as a high school student, I want to show Japanese student the actions all over the world. How can I say? 世界のアクションを日本の生徒に見せたい。
You're doing very well. Very well.
Yeah.
Better than my Japanese. So how old are you?
I'm 16 years old.
You're 16 years old.
16 years
And
old.
so you've come over from Japan and you're representing organisations from Japan.
Yes.
And it's about coal, trying to get the Japanese government.
Yeah.
You're trying to them to stop all coal.
Yeah.
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah. Stop coal from. We are from Japan, and we call for Japanese government that stop coal and stop coal fired plant. Yeah, that's my demand. One of my demand.
Yeah, no, very good. And if you could say anything to the world leaders today, what would you say to them?
何を言いたいか。
No more empty climate policy.
Yeah.
Yeah. There you
And
go.
I am still 16 years old, and maybe I will live until 2100. Yes. So for our future and for next generation, please please make policy which is enough to achieve 1.5 degree goal.
1.5 to goal.
Yes,
Very good.
1.5 goal.
Amazing. It's nice meeting you. Arigato gozaimasu.
Arigatou gozaimasu.
Sayonara. Keep up the good work.
Sayonara.
Thank you very much. Bye. There you go. So we've got, we've got another group here. So keep it in the ground. They're a delegation over from North America. I'm going to see if I can go and have a quick word with this guy here. Just bear with me one moment. Just going to gate crash this. Tom, how you doing? Are you okay to have a quick? You okay to have a quick word? So I'm here with Tom. Your name? Tom
from the United States Indigenous Environmental Network.
Yeah. And what brings you, Tom, all the way from the States to the cold streets of Glasgow?
Well, we brought a delegation of Indigenous peoples of the land We brought a delegation of people who are the defenders of the sacredness of Mother Earth, our water, our air. We are here defenders. We are here to tell the world and our own President of the United States and our Canadian people who are here, President Trudeau as well, is that they need to learn something from our people.
Yeah.
Our traditional knowledge says that they have to respect the sacredness of Mother Earth, the sacredness of our sky. Is that they shouldn't treat Mother Earth as if she's in economic liquidation. They have to stop treating her violently. Like the same thing about the objectification of this industrialization, economic globalization. It's killing our Mother Earth. It's killing our people. That's why we're here, to demand real solutions to mitigating climate change, a real reduction, not false solutions.
That's what we've got for the last 25 COPs is false solutions.
That's what we got is false solutions.
Yeah.
As we are walking parallel in an international world that's elevating capitalism. We were there in WTO when we said no more economic globalization, but we see the parallel of what came out of the Paris Agreement. That was nothing else but a trade agreement. It had nothing to do about real solutions for reducing emissions. If people study the Paris Agreement text, it was mostly about the trading of carbon, about the emissions. And so we're here to demand that if the world leaders really want to prevent us from going over 1.5 Celsius, that we need to work together. We need to take the direction and guidance from the people of the world, the land. The La Via Campesina is the farmers of the land. They have such knowledge. Our indigenous peoples here also, we recognize the people of this area that once thrived here. The fisher people, we're concerned. We're concerned for the people whose homes were flooded here. So there has to be better ways to have civil society participate. We're seeing we're being locked out here. Some of the policies here, we have a hard time getting in here. Those that were able to be here, our brothers and sisters from the global south, because of the pandemic, the regulations, they weren't able to come here at the level that they needed to be.
So you're not getting the true representation that you need.
No, and that calls out, whether or not this whole COP is legitimate or not. If it fulfills the policies of the United Nations mechanism to make sure that there's equity and justice and human rights issues in these UN forums. And I was at the Indigenous Caucus meeting yesterday and the day before. It was the preparatory meeting, and all the brothers and sisters we normally see, they weren't able to get here. Yeah.
So this is what we've got. We've got like an under-representation of the global south and indigenous communities around the world are not being represented properly.
Well, not at the level that we need.
High level.
And we always need civil society. Look at Madrid. It was a civil society. It was our women and our youth and our indigenous peoples that stood up against what's called the Article 6 of the Paris Agreement. That's the main agenda here. And that's a false solution. That allows carbon markets and the selling and trading of the carbon in the trees. And it's a property right issue. At the end of the day, it's not going to be our local communities, forest dependent communities and indigenous people who will be able to protect and access those forested regions. It's the corporations who are buying that carbon.
It's turning it into a commodity.
That's right.
And indigenous communities around the world, like you represent 5% of the population, and yet you're the earth protectors. 80% of the biodiversity in the world. So people don't understand.
So that's why we had ceremony this morning. Our indigenous brother from Brazil, Chief Ninawa, and we had a ceremony with our women of the north, and our analysis is that there needs to be that traditional spiritual knowledge that needs to be brought into these hallways. We're concerned about all of humanity. We don't want the Paris Agreement in its implementation to end up being part of the cultural and biodiversity genocide of the world in its implementation. It gives too much power to corporations.
Yeah.
It does, and their agenda is economic development. So we want to put some love and compassion into the negotiations, to love Mother Earth, not to destroy her.
Amazing, amazing. Well, what can I say? It's been a pleasure talking to you.
Yeah, thank
Keep
you.
up the good work. We're going to be here for 2 weeks.
Thank you.
If you see anybody with a COP26 TV badge like this, come over and talk to us.
Okay.
You know. Thank you. There you go. It's quite that's quite powerful. Talking about the fact that they're not being represented properly. They've been here for all the various different conferences. Yeah, and again, it's not getting their voices heard. So I'm just gonna bring you guys for a walk. Oh, there you go. There you go. It's, yeah. So just to give you an idea what COP looks like. So I'm outside the main gates. So as this gate's coming in here, this is where Nick was queuing ours earlier to get inside. We've got the conference center is right behind me. You can see there's gated security going all the way up around all these buildings here. There's police everywhere. There's people from so many different international communities. It's quite a buzz, really. Yeah, it's quite a. It's going to just jump in here. Going to see if I can grab another one of these outspoken people to have a word with. How you doing? Yeah. Do you want to have a quick word? What's your name?
I'm Saori.
Saori?
Yes.
And where are you from?
I'm from Japan.
You're Saori. Are you part of the anti-coal coalition? Are you part of the youth program?
Yes, Fridays for Future Japan.
Fridays for Future Japan. And do you want to just explain why you're here and what you hope to achieve?
Yeah, I came here to emphasize marginalized people. Instead, they cannot come here because of this COVID-19 situation and some economic reasons.
Yeah.
So I'm one of the privileged one.
Mm-hmm.
So that's why I came here to emphasize the voice to voice up them and also Japan has not declared the phasing out coal yet. So we came here to force them to declare clearly to phasing out coal by 2030 or more sooner.
Very good. What's your name?
I'm Saori.
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 Okay, nice to meet you.
Nice to meet you.
Keep up the good work.
Thank you.
Arigato gozaimasu.
Yeah.
Okay, and anything else to add before I go?
Yeah. Please join us.
Yeah.
To make better future and to protect our future by ourselves. Yeah. We have power to make a biggest change, to make difference. Everyone has the power to make a difference.
Thank you. Powerful words. Everyone has the power to make change. Okay, thank you. Yeah, so I'm just randomly talking to people on the streets. This is what we're going to be doing for the next 2 weeks. It's going to take a little walk. Kind of pop this back inside, just in case Director Vlad needs to. Yeah. So also what we're going to do during the 2 weeks is we've got lots of roving reporters on the streets. So right now I'm going to pass you over to Lisa and hear what you've got to say over there.
Seriously?
Yeah.
Is that all right?
Is this now?
Oh, we're here. So hi there. We've come back to, so we're on, how do you say the name of the street?
We are on Sauchiehall Street.
Sauchiehall Street. Okay, I definitely would have got that wrong. Yeah.
It's all right.
So I've come down, I'm sort of just looking at what's going on the street here and I found the COP26 coalition one of their areas, but it's particularly about COVID safety. So I thought we'd just actually make people aware that we're doing all of that. And are you a volunteer?
Sort of. I'm staff. My name's Ruby.
Sorry. Staff. Yeah. Hi, Ruby.
It's all right. It doesn't really matter. Yes, this is the COP26 Coalition COVID registration site here. And on the other side is the information hub, so you can get your lateral flow test to take home, as well as information on events that are taking place. Now, before going to any event put on by COP26 Coalition, you absolutely must do a lateral flow test day of. Input your results either through the NHS or through the Zoe app. Come here, speak to our lovely volunteers. They will get you either a lanyard with a sticker or a wristband. These colors change every day. Please, please, please come down. Be safe. Thank you.
Thanks very much for the public health reminder, just in case anyone who's watching, people are hopefully watching from around the world, but for anybody who wants to come down, then that's what they have to do. Yeah.
Didn't realize it was international.
Well, we're hoping. We'll see you later. Is there anything else you'd like to say about COP26 Coalition, or maybe I should go and talk to our lovely leafleter over there, who I already had a word with?
We have a press section at COP26. I don't know if I'm the right person to do so.
Okay, that's fine. Thank you very much.
Take care.
You too. So you can see that we've got COP26 Coalition people handing over leaflets here, and they're engaged in conversation at the moment. So I'm going to go over to some other people that I met on the street who are doing their own sorts of actions, really. They're handing out leaflets for a particular campaign. So, hello! Is this a good time for you to talk?
We were both going to talk to you.
Okay.
About just a couple of
Great. Yeah, so I've seen you. Actually, I saw you when I arrived at the weekend. I think I saw our lovely onesie walking along the street, perhaps. Very distinctive. Can you tell me why you've come to COP?
Yes, we've come to COP because we feel that we really need to try and help put the message across, as many other groups do, that the meat industry is the #1 creator of our greenhouse gas emissions. And the biggest problem that we are facing, all the problems we are facing come from that industry, and it needs to be addressed. It needs to be the #1 thing on the board for the COP26 now, because there's no more time to just talk and not do. And we've attended many COPs, and we haven't seen enough action in those years in between. I think this is the one where we really have to push this. So we're giving out information, food, to the public who know very little about the stats of what this industry is taking from the planet, and the 76+ billion animals we're slaughtering every year and somehow feeding, and yet we can't feed 7.6 billion people, or the population of the planet are going hungry. Child's dying every 5 seconds of hunger, and yet we're fattening up 76 billion animals a year for slaughter. So the maths doesn't really make sense. We've really got to get that across.
So how many COPs has your organisation actually been to?
Probably about, do you know? Probably about 5 or 6 altogether. We spent 6 months in Cancun. We were in Spain the other year. We were in Copenhagen years ago. There's been others in many other countries, but I can't name them all. But a lot, yeah, a lot.
Okay, a long time. Are you hopeful for COP this time, for the discussion?
Yeah, I'm a happy cow, and I'm here to deliver one message to all human beings in the world, and that is: be veg, go green, to save our planet. Thank you.
Thanks very much for your time.
Yeah,
it's great to see all sorts of people doing all sorts of actions on the streets here.
It's time for action.
Thank you. Yeah, good luck to you for the rest of the week.
And you.
Thank
Take
you.
care.
Thank you.
Bye-bye.
Bye. So, we've got a Paris as well. So, yes, even though I'm not meeting the action I was expecting to today, there was supposed to be a funeral march here through Sochi Hall Street, which I know now how to pronounce. And it might have happened earlier, it might be happening later, we never really know with these things, but I'm going to keep searching, and meanwhile I'm going to pass to Fergal, who's right outside the COP Blue Zone.
Thank you, Louisa. So I've just taken a little stroll up the street from the conference centre. It's going to just spin just a little bit around this way, so you can see behind me. There's quite a lot of police on the streets. There's a lot of different groups here, and I've just bumped into these guys here. It's they got a big sign about 29 coal power plants. I'm going to have a quick word with Russell. Hi.
Hi.
So Russell, talk to me. Where are you from?
I'm from Bangladesh. I lived in London. Yeah, came here to protest against the illegal government. called Sheikh Hasina, who has an completely hypocritic approach to this global conference. So that's what we are protesting here. So the main, what we want to achieve, there is a 29 coal power plant in the country, which is not really traditional at this moment. This, so you can say.
This is 29 coal power plants in Bangladesh.
In Bangladesh, yeah. So the most importantly, or what is our main concern, is the biggest or largest mangrove forest in the country, in the world actually, that is called Sundarban, and that plant has been actually established just within radius of 30 miles. So the dust and whatever will go, that will, you know, that will change the seaside thingy, then the forest problems. So however, this government actually, they have ruined the total social values, abolishing the democracy in the country, extrajudicial killing, financial condition is bad. Nowadays, anybody born from Bangladesh, so every child actually taken, when they're born, they are per head loan is 70,000 taka, which is approximately 6,000 pounds.
So everybody born has this debt.
Yeah, has a debt.
Yeah.
So the country has a debt. Yeah. So the child who is actually born today doesn't know he or she has got a debt of 60,000 taka, so which is in 6,000.
And this is for like the coal power plants. This is for
the
energy.
Coal power plant is one of the issue that we can identify, but there is 1,000 of issue in the country that has been associated. Their associates has been introduced in the society.
And sorry, just so Bangladesh is going to be one of the worst affected countries in terms of, like, you know, sea level rises.
Oh yes.
And you know, is everybody here from Bangladesh?
Yeah.
Look, this is what you call an international community. I'm just going to have a little pan around. Do you want to just wave? There you go. Yeah. This is quite amazing. I'm just going to just zoom out so you can see this as well. Look at all these people here, all part of the this coalition about stopping coal power plants, and the fact that it's actually destroying the largest mangrove in the world. Sorry about that. Just trying to build a picture for people watching. So anyway, you're here. You're demanding that the Bangladesh government, and what's your aim?
Our first aim is to step down the illegal governments. Yeah. All of them since 2014, they are actually unelected governments. So the people, you should understand, the leader should understand, if there is a leader or government is unelected, so everywhere actually the corruption and things has been go like that. Yeah. So we want this government to step down as quick as possible, and also whatever the society demolishing activities has been taken by them should be rectified. Thank you.
You want
a democratic government.
Democratic government.
Yeah.
Yeah.
We want free and fair election. We have to kick out this government.
Yeah.
Because this government coming illegally without free and fair election.
Yeah.
It's coming by stealing vote. No one could giving the vote. No one could give in the vote. Yeah. They have a right to give the vote. But we have to establish the vote.
So we need to get democracy, and we need to get and then we can start sorting out the problem with the coal power plant.
This is a peanuts actually.
It's all part.
Anyone talk against this government took away some disappeared people. Disappeared people from the family.
Yeah.
So many of
my cousin was disappeared since 2013, and still we haven't got him.
Really?
Yeah.
That's awful.
This is the lowest human right there in Bangladesh right now.
And this is part of like trying to tackle the ecological controversy is about social justice. We need to have social justice. There's no climate justice without social justice.
Social justice. Social justice has to be important very, very shortly, I would say.
No, very good. Well, can I take one of your flyers?
Oh, yes.
I'm just going to take one of the flyers there. There we go. So this is information about the coal fire stations. I was going to pop my earpiece back in here. We're going to be here for 2 weeks. So if you see somebody with a COP26 badge, come up and talk to us.
Okay.
Yeah. Okay, keep up the good work, guys.
Thank you, guys.
Thank you very much.
Bye-bye.
There you go. So already learning so much about the different actions on the streets, things I never knew about. Largest mangrove in the world getting destroyed by new coal power plants in Bangladesh. It's going to pan around here so you can just see what I can see. So we've got the river, I hope I get this right, Clyde. So we're just on the banks of the river here. So in the future, they've already had problems here flooding. This week in Scotland, they've had severe floods. 2 bridges were destroyed. I'm just going to just show you as well. I'm just going to pan down this way. So you can just see there's more groups. I don't know what this is about, but they're making some very, very loud noises. I'm just going to take a little walk across the street here. I'm just going to check that Director Vlad, everything's okay on the technical front. So when you're out and about, a lot of times you get cut off. It's quite hard to hear what's going on. So we got like several different groups. Yeah, we've got lots of different groups going on here. This is a very, very, very large organisation about Bangladesh, about the coal, about the political system, what's happening over there. See, lots of police vans coming and going. We've got don't know what this is. Hello, how you doing? Do you want to have a quick?
White supremacists around here. You guys, like, as like white people, like as other white people here, you need to deal with the white supremacists that are. You should go talk to that guy in the blue hat. Tell him to get the fuck out of here. He's like a white supremacist. White supremacist media outlet in Canada.
Oh really?
Canada, yeah. Oh really? Okay. Rebel Media.
Rebel Media.
Rebel Media.
Okay, yeah. Okay, I'm just going to take I'm going to take a stroll back up the streets here. So I'm going to pass you back over to Louisa. I'll talk to you guys soon.
Hi everyone. So this action that I wanted to find, I haven't been able to, but it's actually just quite interesting roaming the streets of Glasgow because there's loads of climate-related stuff out here, where be it advertising, be it the city councils, sort of street furniture is being revamped. There's electric buses everywhere, and I suppose they have to COP to thank for that probably. I've also found an environmentally themed, well, 2 environmentally themed exhibitions in the window here of the Centre for Contemporary Arts, which was a very happy coincidence. So I just thought I'd show you those quickly to kind of contrast against some of the people who've been able to come. This is the voices of some people who haven't been able to come to Glasgow, and actually what they have to say is quite raw. So let's just get over to them. So this exhibition here got 2 windows, and this exhibition has been installed by an anonymous person. The quite simple in design, but the number 611 is prominent because it's 611 climate activists were murdered in Colombia in the last 5 years, and these are some of their pictures to pay homage to them. Some of them murdered very recently. I've seen 2019, 2020. Javier Francisco Parra. These are people who have fought for climate justice and fought for nature and have been murdered as a result. And it's just absolutely terrible for us to think of, as probably a lot of you watching COP26 TV would consider yourselves environmental activists of sorts, but there are some areas of the world, particularly Latin America, but also some parts of Southeast Asia where, or South Asia, where it's just, if you are standing up for the earth that we all depend on, it's extremely, extremely dangerous business. And we're really, that's part of what we want to highlight with the campaign for global justice as part of COP, is bringing those stories to light. Why should be people being killed for standing up for their resources, which in the end are going to benefit everybody. And, you know, they're standing up for their traditions as well. And they're being trampled on land rights, all sorts of issues related to this. So I'm really glad to have actually come across that exhibition. I would have gone inside to have a talk to people, but the centre is closed today. It's a Monday. The other one I came across, so this is like an embroidery exhibition by women from Argentina and around Europe. I can't get very... It's called Darning the Planet. And you can see... Oh, and Mexico as well. Let's see. So this exhibition, I'll try and get something in focus here for you to read. It's all about nature, and it says on here the call of humanity to be more like a forest and flourish for the common good, to work more collectively and break away from the dynamics of domination and control which govern most societies. And a bit like the coat of hopes that you saw earlier, this sort of act of like weaving and embroidering your vision of reality into cloth is like really strong, and it's extremely, it's extremely powerful to look at these images that come from around the world. And if I just come out a bit, so it says, climate change shall never be vanquished, shall never vanquished be until a great wood to the Glasgow COP shall come against it, which is apparently a paraphrase of Shakespeare. So I hope that we can, as well as actions, bring you some more kind of artistic responses to the climate crisis that we're in, and people's ways of expressing their all sorts of emotions, their fear, their hopes, anger, sorrow. So I'm glad of being able to show you that. I have to go over to another action place now. So all being well, you will see me again. You'll see me again at about 2 o'clock elsewhere in the city. But right now I'm going to go pass back to Fergal for a few more interviews. So I will see everybody later.
Thanks for that, Louisa. So I'm just continuing my random strolling around, and I just bumped into this young lady from New York City. Is it New York City?
Yeah, Manhattan.
Manhattan, there we go, yeah. So what's your name?
Max Moynihan, and I'm the co-founder of Future Earth on Instagram.
Future Earth.
Future Earth, yeah, we're a climate education platform sharing infographics, actions, highlighting different experts, activists, things like that for the Instagram and social media communities.
Amazing, amazing. So we're just having a quick chat here, and you were saying that you don't have a green pass or a big pass.
I have no pass, and I should really have a pass. So get it together and on many levels. Like, people that are representing activist organizations should obviously not be standing outside like we all are in the freezing cold. We should be in there.
So this is why we're here on the streets, is to actually talk to activists on the streets and understand what's going on and the voices that are not being spoken about.
Right. I mean, I think it's cooler to get a load of that. So I'm happy to be here. I've within 10 minutes run into so many people that it's great. But yeah, I would like to be a part of what's going on inside as well.
Yeah. So your main thing here is that it's networking.
Yeah, well, it's crazy because during COVID, you make all these friends online that you don't get to meet in real life. And just being here for a few hours, I've already met in real life a bunch of activists that I've been speaking to for years. So that so far has been nice, but I will get inside. Yeah. That is my goal.
Yeah, fantastic.
Yeah.
So one more shout out for your platform, what you're doing?
Oh yeah, it's called Future Earth. You can follow us on Instagram at Future Earth and get involved.
Yeah. And Future Earth, is that just for like New York, or is it like?
Oh no, global. We cover everything. I mean, obviously because I'm from New York, the co-founders from LA, we are a little bit more US focused, especially in the past time with the elections and all that kind of stuff. But we are really just sharing like everything from climate science explainers to what's going on in the world. And every Tuesday we have a series called Good News Tuesday, where we share 10 top like great stories from around the world that were positives for climate action, things like that. So it's a global movement, and we keep it like that, but it is in English, so that might be the only constraint there.
Yeah, no, that sounds great. Sounds great. I just one question about the COP process. So they're going to be doing nationally determined contributions, which obviously the US was the largest emitter until very recently was overtaken by China. Do you have any opinions on Biden?
Oh, I have a lot of opinions on that. I'm glad you asked. I mean, climate envoy John Kerry put it as Glasgow is the last best chance for us to get our shit together. Sorry, I cursed.
Yeah.
But for us to get our shit together.
Unedited
That wasn't a quote. That was not in quotes. He said something along those lines. Yeah. And he also said that, you know, right now the Congress is going through a big climate package that's getting stripped, and we have Joe Manchin, evil, terrible guy, and John Kerry put it so well. He said that if we don't pass bold climate legislation right now in the US, it would be like Trump pulling out of the Paris Agreement again. So yes, the US has to be a leader. We have to make real progress in our own country and here in the next 2 weeks to show the rest of the world that we are going to take a leadership role that we need to take because of our responsibility and implicity in the crisis, so that everyone else can follow along. I have big words for Biden.
No.
And if people in the U.S. want to get more involved with that, if you're like frustrated and you want more from your senators and your leaders, go to call and the number 4climate.com. There's a hotline that will patch you to your senators, and there's a script, and it takes like 3 minutes, and it is really effective.
So you're going to have to say it again a little bit slower.
Yes, I'm like excited and I'm freezing. Yeah. It's call the number 4climate.com. It's a hotline. You put in your zip code. It tells you who your reps are. It gives you a quick little script of what to say, or you can go off script, whatever you like. It takes a few minutes and it's super effective. We know that calling your reps, calling Congress, calling your senators has a big impact in the US. So if you are having heartburn about what's going on in the world, this is something you can do in 3 minutes. It's actually super effective.
Fantastic. Well, thank you very much for that. It's very educational. There we go. I'll give you just a
friendly goodbye.
I'm just going to ask you just to say Glasgow.
Glasgow.
Okay. Nice meeting you. Take care. There you go. How you guys doing? Record?
Did you already talk?
You don't have to. Nobody's talked to me.
Yeah, I'll do it. We were going to go grab coffee, but a quick.
Oh, I could do with a coffee. What's your name?
Vic. New York, but I live in Wisconsin.
I just spoke to loads of people from the States just now.
Yeah.
What brings you here?
Just here to, kind of convene with other youth activists I already know, talk about climate justice, hold governments accountable, be out here doing things like the you just sort of directed at the Biden administration.
Cool. So you're part of the youth activist, like Fridays for Future, or something like that.
The youth climate movement is surprisingly a small world. I've done some work with Fridays for Future. Spoke at the New York City climate strikes. That's how I met them, essentially. So yeah.
Yeah, that's great. So I'm just gonna let you go because you look like you're freezing.
Yeah, no, I'm pretty chilly.
Yeah, you need to get one of these. Like I got this nice Scottish scarf.
Yeah, no, it's funny because I was just in Scotland and I bought a little Harry Potter scarf, but I forgot it at home. So
yeah, wrap up warm.
Yeah.
All right,
absolutely.
Take care. Yeah. So some great conversations just on the streets outside the entrance to COP. There was quite a lot of people here earlier trying to wait to actually get inside the conference. Just behind me here, you can see the gates. So they've all gone through. People were protesting outside, getting the people up the way in. First, what's the noise coming from? See what's happening there. But yeah, so already we're learning about the failure of COP. For those who don't know it, it's the whole idea is one of the main aims is about funding the poorer countries who are going to be most affected by climate breakdown. So the pledge is supposed to be 100 billion a year, which hasn't been reached yet, and that was part of the Paris Agreement. So that's a failure that's happening. We also have nationally determined contributions, NDCs. We're going to hear quite a lot about NDCs over the next 2 weeks. It's quite a buzzword. Pretty much it is what the different countries are going to pledge for them to actually meet their climate goals. So collectively, the NDCs that we have at the moment, if you add them all up, it amounts to about 2.9 degrees of warming. Okay, so 2.7, 2.9, which is nearly twice the 1.5 that we're aiming for. So that's clearly is all the countries in the world are not doing enough. And also we've got like some of the larger countries in the world who, yeah, they're continuing to pump billions, actually trillions into fossil fuel expansion. So I think since signing the Paris Accord in 2015, we've had it's like 2.7 trillion, I don't know, just eye-watering amounts of money, dollars pumped into new oil and gas infrastructure and exploration. Here in the UK, just before the conference here, the UK government is allowing more oil and gas exploration in the North Sea, just off the coast of Scotland, opening up new coal mines, road expansion, airport expansion. So we've got you know, people talking a good talk in the buildings behind me, but when it actually comes to action, they're going in the wrong direction. Okay, so we've got to severely cut our carbon emissions, greenhouse gas emissions. We have to look at reforestry, about replanting. People are talking about like 1 billion or trillion trees or astronomical amounts, which has to be managed properly. But you know, some very clear things from talking earlier to the Indigenous leaders is we just have to stop physically chopping down our forests, and we have to stop that right now. Big issues in Brazil. Unfortunately, we've got a president there who is not very favourable towards the climate movement, and since he's taken over the presidency, Bolsonaro has under his watch allowing more of the Amazon to get cut down for mainly soya production, and this in itself is contributing vast amounts of greenhouse gases into the atmosphere. It's also affecting the water cycles there. If the Amazon goes, it could be one of the main trigger points that has just a cascading knock-on effect around the world. Yeah, we've got loads of like absolutely awful things happening, and we've got 100 to 120 world leaders. We don't exactly know the whole head count of how many have actually arrived here today for a big show of force. Problem is, they all fly in, and some of them they you know, flying in private planes, and they talk a lot and they say a lot. Then when it actually comes down to action, they all fail a lot. So that's why, you know, we're not trying to be negative, but the whole Conference of Parties process has been quite a big failure over the years. We're on COP26, so that means we've had this meeting happening now 26 times, and they come together and they do pledges and make speeches, and then they all go back afterwards and then continue business as normal. So this time we need to get the world leaders and also the delegates who are part of the negotiations. You know, they need to, you know, really get together and kind of sort this out. But again, you know, we've seen from history, you know, the G20, the pledges that they've made, that they haven't actually come through with the money or the policies. So quite simply, we need to stop all fossil fuel extraction and physically leave it in the ground. It's the easiest thing we could do, and that's not happening. So I'm just going to walk through eyes and ears on the ground. What's happening here? So this is all part of a very large protest that's going on against the coal and the democratic process in Bangladesh. Very loud, very noisy. You can see the extent of this particular protest. There's protests happening in Glasgow, around Glasgow, up and down around the country, and in many countries around the world simultaneously. So during the COP26 TV coverage, we're going to be going to different countries. We're going to be reporting live, and also we're going to be on the day getting countries with poor internet connection to send in short videos that are going to get mixed, and we're going to put those out live in real time as well. So stay tuned for that. We've got several different shows going on. We've got we're bringing in scientists who are going to be able to go through the whole process that's happening here, dissect it, and put it into plain English. So keep an eye out for that. We've got we also got George Monbiot is going to be on too, and yeah, I'm trying to think of the other shows. There's Vlad the director who can scream in my ear. So yeah, like absolutely lots going on. So I'm just going to take a. Yeah. Oh, sorry. We've got the nature newsroom at 4. So that's at 4. Meet the Scientists is at 5 o'clock, and you are going to get a in-depth discussion and explanation on the whole process of the whole IPCC, the Intergovernmental Panel on Climate Change. They brought out their latest report, which is a code red for humanity. And so this latest report is now, it's like there's no dispute about the science. It's like human-induced climate change is causing global warming, and we're going to have a very deep dive into that as well. We've got another program that's going to be happening later as well in the evening. So we've got Meaning It with Anuradha. I hope I'm pronouncing your name right. Yeah, and is going to have a very deep dive into the whole COP process, and was part of a COP COP25. Was over in Copenhagen as well. So very, very, very knowledgeable about the whole process. Oh, we've also got a music show. Sorry, music. We have to have a bit of music. Music is always good, you know. Get the good vibrations going. So yeah, we've got Music Declares has got a action-packed agenda of all different types of music. And we also got like film nights as well. So we're going to have various different environmental films getting showpieced. Some we're going to see about having some live panels or discussions about them. Yeah, so pretty much a full agenda. And so our flagship show is Global Voices. So the whole concept of COP26 TV is to give a voice to the marginalized communities here and around the world. And we've spent the last several months teaching people how to live stream and how to make videos so they can actually give us content to feed into COP26 TV. So it's called Global Voices, and we've got people from different parts of South America, Central America, across Asia, Africa, all feeding in, and we get to hear their stories on the front line of what climate change means to them, also about the loss of biodiversity. So what we're going to do is we're going to play a sample of some of those voices right now, so you can get a flavour of what we're going to be showing you later.
Hola, buenos días. Hello, my name is Juliana. I am sending this video from a very small city in the coast of Argentina. The name of my city is Necochea. We're fighting against the fossil fuels industry, particularly an enterprise from Norway called Equinor, This enterprise is starting and wants to continue with their fossil fuel extraction. They're making seismic exploration in our seas. It's causing the death of our whales. It's killing our fauna. It's killing our animals. We really need to address this. We need your force. If you can go to Equinor, if you can do things there, you can tell them we're desperate. We need them to stop. We need them to think another ways of making their profit or whatever that doesn't involucrates the killing and the death of our biodiversity. I'm very happy to be able to send this message. I hope my English is good enough so you can understand me, and hope to see you soon here in our small town by the sea.
Good day, everyone. My name is Mamosweu. Our biggest crisis in Watterdal is water. Our water supply is very low and poor. So for people who live upslopes, so it's worse because they can't get even a drop of water. We even went to municipality to demand JoJo tanks so that we are able to store our own water. But they only gave us 3 JoJo tanks, and so that 3 JoJo tanks, they have to supply 100 households with water. So you can imagine how hard is it for us in Watterdal. And for other households, it's even worse because you find in one household, there will be family of 6, family of 4. And after the water is finished, then we have to go look for water in another cities. We have to walk long distance to get water. And then now people are even starting to sell water for us. You find that you will spend 10 rand for 20 liter. So for us, we are not even working. If I fill up this bucket, the 9-liter bucket, it means it have to last me for about a day. Climate change affected the weather patterns, so we don't have enough rainfall. So our veggies and herbs or our plantation, they suffer a lot. Our plants are dying because of drought or because of heat wave. We're running out of water. So we only have water from JoJo tanks. So we can't water our plant anymore, even if we have that mulching.
Okay, so that's a sample of Global Voices. We have voices from all around the world. So it's our flagship show. So make sure you stay tuned. Also, just a big reminder to everybody: if you are watching this, you've got a moral duty to do something as well. So this isn't just an entertainment show. It's not an entertainment show. We're here to bring the news on the ground, and if you're at home, we're asking you to get involved. There's lots of different things you can do. Easiest right now is to share. So share this with like 5 or 10 friends, get a discussion going, start talking about the whole COP process, start talking about climate change, join an organization. So anyway, I'm here with this, what's your name?
Ingo.
Ingo, where are you from?
I'm from Berlin.
Berlin, sehr good. Ingo. So tell me, Ingo, what's going on with, you've got an Act on Climate badge going on?
Yeah, we created a new medal. This is a climate medal.
Just hold it up.
Yeah. So it says Act on Climate, but the key thing is what's on the other side of the medal. How much does it cost? And you can see wind and solar at half the price. That is so nice. That's the key solution to climate change. So we can come up with a quiz card for climate, and the question is, are wind and solar the cheapest sources of energy in the world? Your answer is yes. And here you have all the data, Bloomberg, all the other data that show that wind and solar is basically available at half the price. You can see it here. I can explain this to you. You see the yellow line here, which is the cost for solar. Blue is the cost for wind, which is since 2017 cheaper than existing coal plants. That's for Germany, that's for India, that's for China, it's for the US, it's for the UK, it's for all countries in the world. It's cheaper to switch to renewable energy at half the price. The key thing is why is nobody saying that? So if the UN General Secretary, Antonio Guterres, would just say, instead of saying, let's go for 100% renewable energy, what if you would say, let's go for 100% renewable energy, which is at half the price? Everybody would do it immediately. That's how to solve the climate crisis immediately. And that's how we can get on the 1.5 degrees path. And it's the only solution we have. If we miss this opportunity in the next couple of years, then it's gone.
So this is so the whole thing about like wind and solar. So obviously we've got this giant thermal nuclear reactor in the sky called the sun.
Yeah.
And I think it's gives us nearly 3,000 times more energy than all of humanity needs. So it's like it's about an hour worth of sunshine will actually power the whole world, right?
Yeah, there's an interesting company that's called 8 Minute Energy in the US.
Mm-hmm.
Geoff, in 8 minutes, the world gives us enough energy for the whole world for a full year.
Yeah, and that's solar thermal, that's hydro, that's geothermal. So we've got enough renewables, to smash it out of the water.
Right.
And what we've got going on in the COP process is they're talking about, I'm going to say green hydrogen, then they're also talking about blue hydrogen, which is extracting fossil fuels from the ground and then taking the carbon dioxide from it and putting it back into the ground and saying it's clean.
Yes, we think that should not happen. I mean, it should stay in the ground. And, if you just see, for example, in Canada, the tar sands, there's 170 billion of assets or even more, But if you extract that, it's actually way cheaper. There's 10 times, there's 100 times, there's 1,000 times more wind and solar energy on top of that, and it's not exhaustible. And it's cheaper to run your cars, heat your homes, and power your electric system with these renewable energies. So why would you even take them out? It's more expensive. You pay for it. Why would you? Right?
It doesn't make sense. The only reason it makes sense is because it gets the oil and gas companies the ability to keep on extracting more oil and gas. It's a get out of jail card for them, and that's all it is. And as you said, like renewables now is the cheapest form of energy, in the world, and we should be pushing. And there's new technologies coming out all the time. There's new type of solar panels are coming out. There's organic solar panels. There's new types of wind turbines.
Yeah.
They're making new wind turbines now, and they're using wood. So they're actually like sequencing carbon into building them and replacing the towers instead of steel towers with wood.
Yeah,
we got the solutions.
Yes, we do.
Yeah.
And it's actually really interesting. So Germany, for example, has renewable energy at half the price since 2017, since 4 years.
Yeah.
But the media has been quiet about it. Politicians have not understood that. And I can understand that, if you're not an expert in the field, I can understand that there's arguments back and forth and then you get distracted and you basically don't come to a solution. That's exactly what happens here at COP.
Absolutely.
People don't know it, but the data is very clear.
Yeah.
This is Bloomberg New Energy Finance data. It's data from many other organizations and scientific, research organizations. It's very clear. It's cheaper to do it.
I'm going to let you go. I'm going to have to pass inside. So, Dankeschön.
You're very welcome.
Sie haben eine glückliche COP.
You too. Thank you.
Okay, thank you. Okay, so renewable energy. We're at half the price. So there we go. So I'm going to pass you over to Nick, who's actually inside the building here. And the magic of technology, you're going to just zoom in.
Hi guys, welcome back to the COP Inside Story. Right now I'm standing on the limit of the blue zone where the delegates get to be. We have here one of our presenters, Melissa, who will be presenting the flagship show, Global Voices. Hi Melissa.
Welcome back to COP26.2B to Global Voices.
Sorry, can you hold that?
Of course I can.
Thank you very much. Now tell me, ¿de dónde eres, güey?
Soy mexicana, soy orgullosamente mexicana y soy una científica de México.
Padrísimo, padrísimo. She just told us that she's a Mexican scientist and she's actually based in Germany, but she came all the way here by train to witness because she is an observer. Now we have another observer with us. Do you want to introduce your guest?
Let me introduce, please, to Jen.
Badge out of here.
Thank you. This is Jen. They comes from the United States, and we are very honored to have her to have her here to be with us, telling us about this frustration that comes with the negotiations. Where is inclusion? Where is the blah 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 that they with this openness
But tell us
of
something.
the agreements.
You've had a bit of an issue, both of you, this morning.
Of course.
What actually happened to you guys? Just tell us a bit of that story.
Okay, so UNFCCC got several badges for us that we got in here. So apparently, before we were allowed to go to any of the spaces covered in here. However, with the corona pandemic, the restrictions have been even stronger and harder. And so, despite of this, and unfortunately, we were not all informed about these new restrictions that came out. And they started with this system of ticketing. So even if you're inside here, you cannot access to all the information that they will be giving out. So the transparency is really a theater. Or what do you think?
Yes, I agree. I am here as a representative of the Fletcher School of Law and Diplomacy, University in Boston, and we're part of this consortium called RINGO, which is a research-based organization of UNFCCC, and each sector sort of is given a few tickets to give to observers like myself to be able to observe the negotiations. But these tickets are only available at meetings that are only accessible to party delegates, which if you're a party delegate, you can already access the negotiations. So it's very difficult to get a hold of these tickets and really have equity of access for the negotiations. It seems like it's a bit of a closed door process still.
But do you understand, though, correct me if I'm wrong, you can actually witness all these things on a virtual platform?
Yes, that is true.
So how does that work? Does that not add to the transparency, perhaps?
It would be transparency, yes, but then we always know that processes that take place online are not the same as if we are meeting here. And especially when it comes with negotiations, we have to admit and understand that yes, we have all these facts behind us, we have the science behind us, but hey, aren't we all humans? Humans need to relate, and despite of this, yes, corona pandemic and all these restrictions to take care of our health, maybe some getting closer to all these delegates, to all these parties, would be a better way to negotiate the future of these generations to come, especially the rights that nature has, that it doesn't have a voice directly. So they are actually canceling our voices with this online streaming. We can see, but we cannot interfere. We cannot have any opinion on that. Or what do you think?
Yeah, I totally agree. I think it just comes down to who's in the room, quote unquote, and we're still seeing the same people in the room today. Yes, there's virtual access to information, but there's always been that, and still the same people, generally old white men, are the ones doing the negotiating. And in fact, you'll see some interesting statistics coming out today. The percentage of speaking time is hugely dominated by men in the room in the negotiations. In disproportion to the quantity of men represented in the negotiations. So again, just seeing the same people in the room.
Well, but I hate to play devil's advocate here,
Please do.
because the fact of the matter is, you guys have observer status. Would you actually be able, even if you got inside, because now we are talking about the idea that you've been blocked from going because you don't have a ticket, and we understand that comes from the pandemic. Had you been able to go and had COVID not happened, do you think you would have had a role to play? Would you have actually voiced your opinion, or would that also have been just you, just pandering to allow people in? And actually, what does an observer actually do? Actually, just what does an observer do?
So, indeed, there are some cases where observers just go there to occupy a seat. We would say in Mexican Spanish, calentar el asiento, which is just like heating up the seat. But actually, I think observers have the power to look into what is going on from a different perspective, not from a perspective of a politician, not from a perspective of somebody who is looking for their own interest. Observers look at it, for example, us, from the scientific perspective. we also look at it from the humanistic perspective. And that is so important to have in the negotiations.
But then what happens after that? You look at it, and then where does that go? Can you stand up and say, hi, no, I don't agree with that, because the scientists have said for 40 years now, climate change is real. What difference, and I'm sorry to be so brutally honest, would your presence in that room make, whether it's virtual or not?
I would say, and this would come from my personal perspective, but since we are there negotiating, or they are there negotiating, why not us as well go to them, approach to them, like they do in the corridors behind the scenes, approach to them, negotiate with them, explain them the risks that climate change has, that climate change is already impacting in humans' health in all the communities, and come to an agreement. Of course it's possible. What do you think?
Yeah, I totally agree with your point about what happens in the corridors and behind the scenes. It's not just what's projected on the screens from the negotiation room. I study negotiation and conflict resolution, and one of the most important parts of negotiation is interpersonal body language, eye contact. And that's something that's not always conveyed through the screens. And for someone who's studying something like that, like me, being actually able to be in the room and observe that and understand better the processes of negotiation would be invaluable. Also, I think it's a matter of representation. Even if we're just heating up the seats in the room, as you mentioned, at least we're in those seats, and it's not just the same faces that you see at, for example, the G20 that just happened this weekend.
That's a very interesting point. You know, my parents are diplomats, and they always told me that the most important negotiations were actually carried out at the cocktail parties. So, you know, that's what you're saying, isn't it? The corridors. So, I think that's all we have time for. Would you like to say one last phrase of hello and welcome to our viewers who are just launching COP26 TV today?
Welcome to the COP26 on TV. We are in the blue zone of the UNFCCC in Glasgow, Scotland.
All right.
And how about you? Do you have any words for our viewers, for the people across the world, and also, especially, just one other thing. I heard John Kerry said yesterday, this is not about getting action in place, it's about galvanizing. Please respond.
Oh boy. Well, thank you for tuning in and being engaged with this issue of climate change. I think that's something key that everyone can do, even if you're not here at the conference. And I am trying to be optimistic about the outcome of this conference, but it's not just the work of the global leaders in the summit to help stop climate change. It's also the action and the organizing that everyone can do at the grassroots level to help change public opinion, to help spur this political will that will change policies to affect and mitigate climate change. So thank you.
Well, guys, thank you very much. Thank you very much for your being here, first of all,
Thank
COP,
you.
and I really hope that we can sort out your ticket issue. And Melissa?
One last thing. Yes, representation is important. No matter where you are, no matter who you are, you need to be here. Make them know that we are watching, that we are here, and we care for our future.
And you can also play a part right there where you're sitting at home. Share the link. COP26 TV. That's it. Thank you, Melissa. Share that link. Get the word out, because the more of us are talking about this, the more of a difference we can make. So thank you very much for tuning in for now. I'm going back to Fergal on the street outside COP.
Thank you very much for that. I'm looking forward to listening to more information about the science behind it. So I'm just going for a little stroll here. I'm absolutely freezing. I've walked away from the entrance of COP. I'm going towards the green zone. So I was just crossing the river here, and I thought it was a bit ironic. So I don't know if you can see where my finger is pointing just here. So this is the actual COP26 flagship huge banner that was put up on the blue zone, and it hasn't even lasted 12 hours. It's actually already blown down. So maybe that's karma for the negotiations, which we pretty certain are going to fail. They're set up to fail. So yeah, so I'll get a shot of that later, but you can just see it in tatters already, blowing in the wind, just lasting a mere 12 hours. Just pan around here, you can get to see See the banks of the river as well. We've got police walking up and down. We've also got police boats that are going up and down the riverways. It's going to show you a bit more of the fence behind me here. So walking across. So this fence is going like 2.5 miles in this big huge circle over 2 bridges, blocking off all of Glasgow. So yeah, it's a little bit calmer here than the in front of the entrance. But yeah, so the COP26 process, we're going to learn a lot more what the 120 world leaders are going to come out with today. Going to be more promises. We've had quite a lot of promises over the years, but I think now is a good time to introduce some more of the global voices. So Director Vlad, if you could do that, that'd be great, and give me a chance to dig a hat out of my bag because I'm freezing.
This is Mju from the Val. I'm with Extinction Rebellion Val, and we are here to talk about the Val River. Coming from Pumalang, the river is about 1,100 kilometers long. Yes, it's one of the most important rivers as we understand it, because water is important. It's very central to people's lives. But if you go upstream in the Val Dam, which find the yellowfish, the fish have been missing, because we understood this from the study that was published 2 years ago. There's a Federation for Sustainable Environment. It's an NGO that published a study about the aquatic life of the Val River. It's heavily polluted. If you look at it, it's very, very dirty. And there's too much sewage in this river. But one thing for sure, we are killing ourselves. So we kill the river. By default, we are not killing it. We are killing ourselves, because we get life from this river as human beings. So yeah, thanks. This is the Val River, and let us save the Val River.
Hello, selamat sejahtera semua. Hello, good afternoon, morning, evening to everyone. My name is Nadia. I'm from Malaysia. I'm really glad that I'm being given this opportunity to speak to everyone in the UK, and I'm really hoping that this year's COP will be something very fruitful. As we know, last year we couldn't see any negotiations being passed, but this year is really important because it's a conference during the pandemic, and we wanted to see how important negotiations or articles being passed this time around. And just to let you know that being here in Malaysia, we are some of the regions that is heavily affected by the climate crisis. Just 2 days ago, we were hit by flash floods in one of the regions in northern Malaysia, where we see a few deaths and a lot of people that are missing. And it's quite common everywhere around the world that we see smaller countries that releases very small emissions. They are affected the most, and we are hoping more of the shared responsibility being taken by countries in the global north, and all the finances are being supported for the countries in the global south. This comes in terms of climate finance and loss and damages and the reparations. That being said, I'm really looking forward to participate in COP26 this year. We are bringing in our Indigenous voices from Malaysia this time around. It's the first participation from Malaysia, from civil society of the Indigenous communities. So we hope to be there in the UK, in Glasgow, by the end of the year. Thank you.
Habari kwa wote. Hi everyone, my name is Kambere Kaulikiwa Olivier. I am an environment activist and a One Health expert from Eastern Democratic Republic of the Congo. I want to join my voice to those of millions of activists in England, Eastern Congo is home for a lot of natural resources, including protected areas. I can list Virunga National Park, Maiko National Park, Kauzibiega National Park, and so on. At the same time, those protected areas are also home for negative groups. Those rebel groups are involved in destroying the nature. They are killing animal species. They are doing illegal business, illegal traffic of goods. All these actions are destroying the nature. I am going to show to the leaders of the world that helping Congo to fight negative groups and recovering peace in Eastern DRC is contributing to protecting the nature and fighting climate change. Thank you.
So that's the global voices. We're going to have many more interviews going on in all different parts of the world. So make sure you stay tuned. It's going to be live and more recorded videos. So I'm actually just taking a stroll around Glasgow at the moment. I'm going over to the green zone, and I bump into these guys, and they've got Beyond Green, Beyond the Green, and they're handing out a flyer to me about hemp. So normally when people talk about hemp, they think about like it's something that you smoke, yeah. But we're Beyond Green is actually using it as a building solution. So what's your name?
My name's Davey. Pleased to meet you. David, yeah.
And what's your name?
Megan.
Megan. Okay, so tell me what's going on and why you're promoting hemp.
Yeah, we're promoting an event called Beyond the Green. So it's a fringe event that's happening in the East End of Glasgow at St Luke's over the 5th, 6th and 7th. It's looking at it's demystifying the myth about cannabis that can only be smoked. It's for stoners and for hippies and stuff. So we're really looking at industrial hemp here. So industrial hemp can be grown outside. It doesn't need hydroponics. It's got a 20 times more carbon capture than regular plants, so that in itself is amazing for the environment. It can be used for hempcrete, so instead of concrete, fossil fuel building materials, you can use hempcrete to build properties. You can be hemp clothing, you can be hemp-based plastics. So we believe that hemp is the future and one of the main ways to help save the planet.
Wow. So you're talking about extracting carbon from the atmosphere, growing a plant and using the plant as a building material.
Yes. So you're using that, then you're using it for the carbon capture, then you're not just throwing it away, then you're using it for building materials, plastics, clothing, paper.
Yeah. Okay. And I know historically hemp's been around for like a very, very long time.
Yeah. Well, we were chatting with the Hemp Alliance last night, and I just found out myself that it's been around since the times of Henry VIII. So if you had land in England back in the Middle Ages, around about that time, you had to grow hemp in that area. So yeah, and it's been around for a long time. I'm not quite sure why it's got this situation we're in just now, where there's such a lot of confusion about it, yeah. But we need to start growing more of it, definitely. Where Greta said we need to grow more plants, we say that's fine, but please let them be more hemp plants.
Very good. And you're promoting an event?
Yeah, so there's going to be guest speakers, there's going to be stalls set up,
yeah.
We're going to have some live music.
Live music's always great.
Yeah, so there's actually on the Saturdays Earth Aid, so it's all on their website if you want to have a wee look, but we've got a couple of the guys from Groove Armada. Yeah, it's going to be good fun.
Where is this happening?
So this is down in St Luke's, this is in the East End of Glasgow.
Is that a flyer? Do you want to just hold up a flyer so I can...
Yes.
Just a little bit of a plug going on here.
Beyond the Green, 5th, 6th and 7th of November, St Luke's in the East End of Glasgow.
Yeah. Wow, sounds amazing.
Amazing, thank you very much.
Okay, keep up the good work.
Amazing, thank you very much.
Okay,
Thanks, bye-bye.
Here we go. As I said, there's all sorts. My screen has just gone a little bit dark. I don't know if that's my battery failing me. So, yeah. So I think it might be my battery. So we got some very colourful people walking across the road here. Don't know what's going on here. Going to see if I can grab this person. What's going on here? Where are you guys from?
Not really.
No, do you have a quick interview for COP26 TV? Come on, yeah. Well, just at least tell me why you're wearing this. Why are you wearing these clothes?
So this is the Indigenous clothing of the Sami people.
Yeah.
And yes, from Norway, Sweden.
Oh, Sami people. Yeah. With the reindeer.
Yes.
Yeah.
The reindeer.
And they eat the lichen. They so the migration every year.
Yes.
Yeah. So you're from Norway?
Yes.
Yeah, and this is what you wear in Norway. This is your normal.
Yeah, except for like the cameras and stuff. But this is our traditional outfit.
Yeah.
From Sami people. Yeah.
So do you wear this to the pub?
No, I don't.
only at some events.
Yeah.
But we could wear it to the pub if we wanted to.
Yeah.
And how comes? Why are you representing the Sami people? Are you Sami?
We're actually Sami reporters for the Norwegian Broadcasting Corporation, the Sami branch.
Okay.
Yes. So that's why we're here to show the Sami people what is happening and that we're here for it and that it's important for us as Indigenous peoples to care about the climate because it affects us in a big way. So yes.
Absolutely. I've seen some of the nature programs about the Sami communities and the fact that the reindeer they can't make it because of the climate change is in.
So you have to feed them. They can't feed themselves. Which hasn't happened in
forever.
Yeah.
So that's it.
But
you're more affected in the north of Norway and the Arctic Circle. It's like 5-6 times the accelerator.
I think it's 3 times more.
3 times more, yeah.
Yeah.
We would like to talk about the fact that overconsumption in countries of the global north pushes governments of countries of the global south to take desperate measures and sign agreements of horror like the one currently taking place between China and Argentina. This agreement seeks to supply China with 900 tons of pork meat per year. Our lands will now be occupied not only by the grains that are exported to feed animals, but also by the sheds that enclose these animals, which then end up being exported. While local food production, regional economies, and healthy food production continue to be marginalized. In addition, these farms would also promote greater demand for soybean, exacerbating an agro-industrial model which we have already proven that it doesn't solve hunger or make the economy better, and have only brought more poverty and is increasingly distancing us from having a more environmentally friendly agriculture. One of the several causes is that global meat production and consumption have multiplied by 4 since the 1960s. China, with 1,394 million inhabitants, has recently gained massive access to the possibility of consuming animal proteins, a possibility that other countries in the global north have enjoyed for a long time. Another cause we can talk about is that the African swine fever is now a pandemic among livestock, as it has spread throughout Asia and Europe. Precisely, China was forced to slaughter 250 million pigs in 2019. That was 50% of their production. On this agreement, inequality rules. These mega farms are being installed in the poorest provinces of Argentina, like Chaco, because living with an animal factory is to live with a polluting, cruel, smelly hell on earth, destructive of air, soil, water, and with a series of microbiological threats that detonate in different diseases of minor and major danger. We ask you, the global north, to take seriously the issue of degrowth. Researchers suggest consumption levels must drop by as much as 95% in countries with today's highest per capita consumers. Reducing consumption must be integrated into our solutions toolkit if we are to quickly tackle the climate crisis before it's too late. Now, it is important to understand that the burden of this task should not be laid upon the individual. It's the job of the governments and the very corporations who created this mess in the first place to facilitate this drop in consumption. And what can you do about this? Well, first, continue with your amazing work, because that inspires us all. And then keep on demanding your governments and banks to stop financing companies from your countries to come to our countries to devastate everything. Stop greenwashing. Demand transparency of the entire production chain, and thus stop the destruction in our territories. Have you heard the phrase, less is more? Thank you for watching.
Hello everyone, here we are. park just off.
Annika is left to the left. Behind the school. Come around.
We need to press and push back.
Yeah.
Move that in front of you.
This way.
Yes.
Yeah.
Turn around.
Okay.
Oh my god! Pardon? Who are you? Yeah. Who are you? Yeah.
I can't believe it. Oh no!
I'm good.
I was
Can I?
Can I talk?
Hello everyone. Yeah, so here we are with Fridays for Future, and yeah, Greta has arrived. So we're just waiting to see what's going on now. Obviously, it's quite the shuffle with all the media.
Yes. What? Sorry. Yeah.
Yeah. Mine's come off.
Oh no. I saw that. I saw that.
I can't get round. Hello everyone, very sorry about the audio and the connection right now. But yeah, we're just standing by. Greta's arrived and she just seems to be setting up a stage here. So hopefully we can hear from her shortly. Hold it a bit higher. Okay, so things are quietening down now, and hopefully we have a speaker so we can at least hear what Greta has to say. But as usual, huge media presence and very difficult to see her. Yeah, she is in the middle of the shot in a black hat right now, if you can't see her. So please do bear with us, and we can hear what's going on. So hello everyone, if you just joined us, we're just in a park off of Govan Road, and Greta has arrived. Everyone was standing around looking a little bit confused, not really sure what was going on, but it's quite easy to spot her once she's arrived, because the media are straight around and make it difficult for her to even walk, but hopefully we can hear her shortly. Yeah, so the park's just off of Govan Road. I can't actually remember the name of this one.
Festival Park.
Festival Park, there we go. So if you're in this area and you'd like to head over, so we're just moving back a little bit now, giving Greta some more space.
Yeah, it's like this. Yes. Also, I
Thank you.
Everyone to the back. Everyone to the back.
The back, you two journalists, everyone.
Yeah.
I mean,
So if you just joined us, please do bear with us. We're just in Festival Park, just off of Govan Road in Glasgow. And it looks like we're shortly going to be hearing from Greta.
we made it. We tried to get the pin. Yes. To the back, to the back. To the back.
So some of the banners there saying, treat this crisis like a crisis, enough is enough. I just saw a petition come through by Avaz earlier, asking for us all to sign the letter if you've not seen it. And yeah, I'm sure you're aware, this climate conference so far is basically set up to foul in the sense of 1.5 degrees already being completely unrealistic. Just a 1% chance of reaching 1.5 degrees according to Chatham House, and in fact 10% chance, 1 in 10, of hitting 7 degrees by the end of this century. Myself as a former airline pilot, I'm pretty sure you would not have gotten one of my flights if there was only a 1 in 10 chance of you arriving at your destination safely.
And you live in Glasgow. And you?
Yeah. I'm just
You're moving.
Are we moving?
No, it's not move.
Oh, yeah.
Let's not move at all, please.
Okay.
We're good. We're just waiting on the microphone still. I think the energy here is okay.
So hopefully we'll be hearing from Greta very shortly, and all of the other rebels that she's with.
The banners?
Completely different plan.
Yeah, it means much more because the flag is waving. Yeah, it's maybe not quite so
So hopefully going to hear from Greta very shortly. It's just getting her. Oh, just getting her water out.
Yeah, yesterday I saw you in the thingy in the evening, and I was like, oh my god, that's Aaron.
I'm really sorry. I think everyone imagines me to be like, so when they meet in person, they're like, oh, you're taller than
Looks like the speaker's just turned on, so hopefully we'll be hearing us soon.
Who makes you?
Yeah, apologies for the noise right now, the feedback. It's just the speaker system.
The black flag is Have you got Does it need to stay connected? Yeah.
I need these sounds.
The flag. Yeah.
I feel like it's a good shot.
Yeah.
But they need to be connected.
You reckon she's got a good shot there? You got.
It's German walking this giant metal for 3 months.
Right.
And they were outside, and there was 2 policemen,
He was followed by police yesterday. The police at the campsite saying anyone under 18 is
That's got. Okay, yeah. Like, upper corner. Yeah, that too.
I'm just holding the.
But I will say, like, I'm very
Huh? You want it? Yeah.
I'm assuming you got a bunch of
Yeah.
If she doesn't hold them.
Sorry.
Hello everyone. Yeah, again, sorry for the feedback from the speaker. Just here in Festival Park off of Govan Road in Glasgow, and we're waiting to hear from Greta and the rest of the activists she's with right now.
O hej, chodźmy tu, macie po polsku? Zaraz się też ruszymy.
You want to take this, please?
Perfect. Also, stand another step back, please.
Oops, sorry. So in case you're not familiar with the recent science, the IPCC report says that we need to reduce emissions by 45% every year until 2030 to have any chance of staying below 1.5 degrees, which is already catastrophic. We've recently witnessed the first climate-induced famine in Madagascar. And this is at 1.2 degrees.
It's all, as Greta has pointed out, it's all based on accounting tricks where they're imagining that future technologies that our kids and grandkids are going to come up with are going to suck the stuff out, which is why we're faced with the madness of every government saying they're serious about 1.5 but planning to burn more coal, oil and gas. And because we don't burn much coal in the UK, we're going on about coal and not about oil and gas. And we gave out 114 new gas licenses just last year. And we're the home of the Industrial Revolution, some of the highest historical emissions anywhere. Hence the shit show that we're seeing across the world, where governments are trying to dress up catastrophic failure as success. And they're getting there. Even Australia, that's planning to burn an unimaginable amount of coal in the next 20 years, have just signed a thing saying net zero 2050. So they're in the club now, the success club. It's madness, absolute madness. And all our children's futures are on the line, let alone the hundreds of millions of people already affected across the world by catastrophe. And this is a crime against humanity, let's face it. You know, our leaders have knowingly acted, and you know, if they say they maybe didn't realise 30 years ago how fast this stuff was going to happen, they've been seeing it for the last 10 years and they're doing more and more of the things that are destroying us. Yes, a bit more renewable energy, but more and more fossil fuels. And 92% of the excess emissions in the atmosphere are from the rich countries, from the global north. So that's Europe, America and Australia, Canada and New Zealand. 92% of all the emissions that have taken us above 350 parts per million, which is the danger zone that we're in now. We're now about 410 92% of those emissions are from the rich, and the rich are simply refusing to pay for the transition from brown to green across the poor world, where countries are already saddled with extraordinary debts and just are simply incapable of paying for the transition otherwise. And now we're blaming them for burning coal. Of course they're burning coal. What else are they going to do? But it is absolutely about rich countries not stepping up to their utterly vital historic responsibility to pay for the damage they've caused. And let's remember, we have legal systems across the Western world that recognise the concept of damages. You know, if you cause a problem, and it's demonstrably so, which it absolutely is in the case of climate change, you have to pay for the damage. It's that simple, and we're just not doing it. And there are trillions and trillions of dollars sloshing around the richest countries. The nominal wealth of the world, I think just in finance, is about $425 trillion. Across the world as a whole, there's a nominal wealth of over $2 quadrillion, so over $1,000 trillion, and they're pissing about with whether we can get 100 billion into a fund by this year, which was promised 11 years ago, and it's still not there. And a whole bunch of that money is loans, so countries that get flattened by catastrophic disasters can then get more debt from the rich countries to try and rebuild their economies. This is absolutely a crime against humanity. If we imagine a terrorist organisation had come up with a machine that could wreak the kind of utter havoc on the world that climate change and other ecological crises are wreaking on the poor of the world, we would see it as the most catastrophic terrorism ever. You know, Al-Qaeda can blow up a building. What we're seeing is towering infernos across the world, raging deluges, knocking towns and communities into the sea. We're seeing millions of hectares of farmland just destroyed by unseasonal rains. This is a catastrophe already. It is a crime against humanity. And essentially the world has come together to dress up, carrying on business as usual with a bit more renewables as success. And all the activists here from across the world, hundreds of countries, thousands of organisations see clearly that this is a lie. And the one thing on our side is that more and more of the world's population see that it's a lie as well. But it's crucial that we burst the bubble of the success story.
Sorry about that. We have some technical issues, but we're going to get started. Listen, I think you all know why we're here, and I think we're all pretty angry, but just for the benefit of the cameras, I guess, we're here because the people in the SEC are not listening. They've never listened. There is no point to these conferences. All they do is sit around tables and sell us down the river, and they make us wait outside and watch. And it's cruel. So we just want to say, like, as Glaswegian activists, that our comrades from the global south, from the most affected peoples and areas, are so welcome here, and we are so proud to have you here in our city. But the imperialist, lying politicians in that building, they are not welcome. And we are going to let them know today. So thank you. What do we want? Climate justice! When do we want that? Now! What do we want? Climate justice! When do we want that? Now! I'm going to pass you over to Patience. Thank you.
So there we are. Hopefully we'll be hearing the speeches very shortly. I was just communicating earlier that 1 billion children are now living in countries already in extremely high risk from climate change.
Good afternoon. Hi. My name is Patience Nabukalu. I'm a climate justice activist from Uganda. Louder. Organizer Fridays for Future Uganda and a member of Fridays for Future Malta.
Louder. Put it really close to your mouth.
I'm specifically passionate about wetland restoration and conservation. Wetlands play a big significant
role in mitigating the effects of climate change, and had those wetlands been there, so much difficult and disruption would have been avoided. Across Africa, there have been floods, wildfires, heat waves, severe droughts, and more. This is our reality. Africa is suffering. Our people are suffering. We need serious action. World leaders need to turn their words, their empty promises into action. The need for solutions to the issues are long overdue. They are doing nothing for Africa and people in the global south. For them, it's about grandstanding, about power plays and money. Africa is responsible for less than 5% of the total global emissions. Africa is responsible for less than 5% of the total global emissions, but we are more vulnerable to the effects of climate disasters. Than any other continent. We are the ones hit hardest by the climate crisis. Yet we do the least. It is not right. Here in Africa, our voices are not heard. There is no coverage of media showing what we are dealing with. Rather, Uganda is known as a dumping site for all unwanted wastes from developed countries. And yet, all we can hear is statistics. The white noise of empty promises and pledges to do this, that by 2050. What about now? What about 2021? The battle is far from over, but this year presents an opportunity to think differently, an opportunity to do the things we are promising now, an opportunity to hold out a microphone to those whose voices matter most, to those who trade the reins. We need climate justice in Africa and all over the global.
Oh, I'm really emotional about that. Like, I think maybe everyone take a time to put your hand on your heart and actually feel that a bit, because I think so often we can move on to the next thing so quickly. But what Patience has said there, it's the climate crisis isn't just about statistics. It's not just about numbers. It's not just about big fancy conferences. It's about people. It's a human crisis. My name is Michaela Loach. I am a climate justice activist, and I'm one of 3 claimants taking the UK government to court over the huge amounts of subsidies of public money that they give to the North Sea oil and gas industry. So since signing the Paris Agreement in 2016, the UK government has given £4 billion of public money to North Sea oil and gas companies. In many of the years, BP and Shell haven't paid tax because of these loopholes. The companies behind the Cambo oil field, Sickathon Point Energy as well, hasn't paid tax and has been paid billions of public money that promotes them in polluting. And so we're challenging that in court. We'll be in court on the 8th of December in London. So please do come down if you can, because these kind of things are really important. Is this loud enough? Yeah. Okay.
Hello?
Oh, yes. I think I found so often that modern day or like mainstream talk about the climate crisis is this idea that our goal is to preserve the world as it is now, like our goal is preservation and that's all it is. When for me, as someone who's racialized as black, me, someone who was born in Jamaica, like the idea of the world as it is persevering is not something that excites me. The idea of a world that's built on white supremacy, on exploitation, that doesn't excite me and it shouldn't excite any of us. And that's why in all the work we're doing, it needs to be rooted in climate justice. It needs to be rooted in changing this entire world and all the systems that it's built on. It needs to be rooted in creating a better future and not just preserving the world as it is now. And I think that what's like almost so sad about that is that we have that opportunity. Like, it's so possible and it's really tangible and we could do that, and it just requires as many of us as possible to be active citizens and actually create that change, because change isn't passive. It's not something that just happens. Things don't just get better. Like, the world doesn't just get more moral. People force it to go that way, and therefore we have to have the bravery and the audacity to do that. And especially here in the UK, where we have such a huge influence over emissions and how much is being kind of contributed to this crisis, we have to stand up against things. We have to call that all new oil and gas is stopped, not just stopping Cambo, but all new oil and gas. We can have no more fossil fuels being extracted, and we must be doing that today. So it's important to remember that like conferences like this is going to be promoting green capitalism and all that gross stuff and trying to find ways to make the world as it is now compatible with reducing emissions, but that isn't what we should be fighting for. What we need to be fighting for is the people who have been harmed most historically. What we need to be fighting for is the people who really need us to fight. We need to fight for liberation. And I think I wanted to quickly just share like one small story. I'm born in Jamaica, my family in Jamaica, and Jamaica is a country that has been harmed by the UK historically and presently so much. And I was talking to my grandmother recently about a beach that we went to a lot when I was a child, and she was telling me how the water has now submerged that entire beach, and the water is now going to people's homes that live right on the coast, and she only lives a 10-minute drive from there, and she was saying how scared she is and whether she knows if she'll be safe or not, or how long she'll be safe. And that's the reality of this climate crisis. It's not just about all the numbers, it's about people, and there are so many people who are scared today. There are so many people being harmed today. It's not a future issue, it's not this existential crisis, it's a real one, and we need to be treating it with the audacity to have a revolution and form a complete new world. And yeah, thank you very much.
Sorry, this is a bit scary. Hi, my name is Dylan. I'm from Fridays for Future Glasgow. So I actually managed to get accreditation inside the... Sorry? Okay, not for me. I managed to get inside the COP. I managed to get inside the places I've been going since I was a child. This is my place. This is where we're from. And we're so excited to have all of these amazing people with us from all over the world to tell us the realities of the climate crisis. But who is not welcome is Joe Biden. He is not welcome. All of these world leaders are not welcome here. They are the ones actively destroying our planet, and they're trying to use Glasgow to profit from that, to make themselves look better than they are. That's all this World Leaders Summit is. We cannot have meetings inside there. We cannot have press conferences. Actions are not permitted inside today or tomorrow. That's why we have to be out here, because we're not allowed to have our voices inside. And I don't think that's okay. Yeah. Sorry, our microphone wasn't working earlier, so yeah. We're really excited to platform all of these incredible voices as much as we can. Please, please, for all the media here, put them in your front pages. Please platform the voices of these people who are being affected right now. They're here, they're willing to talk to you, so do it.
She's having so much fun. Mama, I'm sorry, okay? Wait, our banner is disrupting now. And do you like, are you okay down there?
Am I alright?
Are you okay?
Yeah.
I would say that noise perfectly depicts our approach to this summit. And this COP26 is so far just like the previous COPs, and that has led us nowhere. They have led us nowhere. Inside COP, they're just politicians and people in power pretending to take our future seriously, pretending to take the present seriously, the people who are being affected already today by the climate crisis. Change is not going to come from inside there. That is not leadership. This is leadership. This is what leadership looks like. We say no more blah, blah, blah. No more exploitation of people and nature and the planet. No more exploitation. No more blah, blah, blah. No more whatever the fuck they're doing inside there. We're sick and tired of it, and we're going to make the change, whether they like it or not. They have been keep on going for too long. We're not going to let them get away anymore. We are not. Because who are we?
Fridays for Future!
And what are we going to do?
Fight for climate justice!
Climate justice! That's right. What do we want?
Climate justice!
What do we want?
Climate justice!
How do we want it?
Now!
What do we want?
Climate justice!
When do we want it?
Now!
What do we want?
Climate justice!
When do we want it?
Now!
What do we want?
Climate justice!
When do we want it?
Now!
No more blah blah blah.
No more
blah blah blah. No more blah blah blah. No more blah blah blah. No more blah blah blah. No more blah blah blah. No more blah blah blah.
Come on, stop! This is very cute! But would it not be what you would like to say? No? I would like.
Well, I want to smack the way.
Why not?
I know that's
So hopefully the media actually do their job and report on the real story, which is what is happening in the global south right now. And then this whole conference is nothing but
Now, I came to COP26 not because...
okay. Just stay tuned. After this, we've got Mombiosis next.
Oh, stop moving me around. Okay, I came to COP26 not because I believe in any change that is going to come out of there. I came to COP26 because I wanted to see firsthand, as world leaders and those global north leaders or whatever they call them, destroying my future firsthand, destroying firsthand our communities, our struggles, and what we have hope for. But I know it's obvious from all the speakers that's not where change is happening. Change is not happening from whatever they will be talking about. You'll see a lot of green capitalism. You'll see a lot about colonialist policies like climate finance that perpetuate colonialism by creating more debt on global South countries. You will see colonial conservation. You will see a lot of planting trees on indigenous lands, and that is just land grabbing. You will see a lot of criminal stuff at COP26. But of course, that is not what I came to tell you here. Of course, it's clear that there's a lot of bullshit going on at COP26, and the real leaders are not in there. The real leaders are out here. We are the leaders. Once upon a time, there was a world where clean air, clean water, clean environment, and children didn't even have to fight for their own features. Unfortunately, for now, that is just a story. But the youth striking across the globe, the indigenous communities marching and demanding the global south, the people from the global south, the people from MAPA are resisting, and our stories, our experiences, our struggles are going to make that a reality. And we are making that a reality right now. I know that we are all here, and we're going to hear a lot of bullshit from all leaders, but we are also going to hear a lot of powerful stories from indigenous communities. The people from MAPA are all here. Some of them are going to speak to you, and they are the two leaders because their voices bear the reality of what the climate crisis means like, and they are connected to these struggles more than anyone who could tell you that they're solving the climate crisis at that conference. The system has created a huge disconnect between them and what humanity is. So you find to a point that their solutions are like putting a price tag on nature. That is neoliberal capitalism, and that's the bullshit we're here to protest about. The system has created a huge disconnect from what they're going to talk about there, and that is why you find the very colonizers, the Duke or Duchess or whatever they call them, their majesties. Yeah. Whatever they call them, those are the very people that cause the climate crisis, but are the very people that are standing in front of us and talking about whatever the empty promises are. And we're not here for that. We're here for the people of in MAPA, and that is why I'm here. I flew all the way from Nairobi not to listen to them, but to listen to my friend Raisa here from South Africa. I came here to listen to Kevin, to listen to Patience, to listen to Mitzi, because they are the real leaders. And I hope we'll listen to them. And from here, it's not just going back home. Let's just go back home, having listened to these real stories, and build the movement that is going to bring the liberation of Black and Indigenous people across the globe. Thank you.
What do we want? Climate justice! What do we want it? Now! I'm Anna from Glasgow. We are fed up with this bullshit. Activism is going to tell you exactly why we're fed up with this bullshit. Hi
Hi everyone, I'm Adrian from Brazil. I'm Indigenous from the south, from Pampa. Today, global leaders are meeting, but Brazil's president, Jair Bolsonaro, is not. As a Brazilian, I need to show our indignation with the federal government. Brazil is not a mess place. We have many young Brazilians here to build solutions and end the destruction of our country. I also want to denounce the attitude of the Bolsonaro government, which has been killing the Brazilian people every single day. Our biggest disease in Brazil is the government. Our biggest virus is Bolsonaro. Living in Brazil is to see every single day hunger, poverty, indignation, sadness, and inequality. It shouldn't be like that. Our country carries one of the most important biomes for the whole ecosystem. The air you breathe right now is the blood spilled in your indigenous communities. The reason you're breathing now is because our communities have been killed just trying to protect every inch of land. Our fight to protect land is about life. My life, your life, our life. When you think about Brazil, you probably remember the Amazon forest. But I'm here to tell you that Brazil, we have 6 biomes. All the 6 biomes are so important and crucial for the entire ecosystem. So today I ask you to listen to the most affected people, to the indigenous people. It is not fair with us they decide to be green now that we are feeling the consequence of the climate crisis. Our countries have been suffering for years from the crisis that the global north announced. We are tired of paying your debit. We are not part of the problem, we are the solution.
Okay, now we're going to have Cora, who is from Scotland, and he's just going to chat to me a wee bit about all this shit.
Hi. So yeah, I'm Cora. I'm from Scotland. I'm from Edinburgh, and unfortunately not Glasgow. But honestly, as a young person living in Scotland, like, it is pretty scary. Like, our Scottish government seems to believe that just because their climate targets are like 5 years before the UK, that they're like really amazing, and they're just like so great, which is like pretty like, okay, maybe not. And then you've got the UK government looming over, like, really just investing in like fossil fuels like all the time, like the Campbell oil field, which is going on right now. Boom! What is that? And then honestly, it's like they're right over there, and I've been told so many times that the right way to get them to change things is to talk to them and to try like make some like, you know, thing they could do, some policy they could make, but it's not working. We've tried that. I think that when I'm told that protesting and shouting at them and just getting out there, being on strike from school isn't what we should be doing. We should be waiting to get an education. Like, fuck them. We've established that's not going to do anything. We need them to listen, and we get their attention when we go in our mass protests. We get their attention, and it's working. You know, we've seen that the school strikes have been doing a lot. Fridays for Future has been doing a lot. And it honestly fills me with hope to know that there's so many people in Glasgow for these 2 weeks from MAPA, from the Global South, that are going to be there protesting and getting that attention that they're not getting because of governments like the UK that have really just have ruined it in the past and are still ruining it in the future with their offsetting and their divesting and their subsidising in their fossil fuels. And yeah, let's just let them hear us from the SEC. What do we want?
And when do we want it? Now! What do we want? Climate justice! When do we want it? Now!
Okay, and now we are going to have massive. Now we're going to have Ina. Ina!
Yo, what's up? I'm wearing the colorful scarf.
Ina, you need to put it on.
Okay, okay. Thank you. Hello, everyone.
Woo!
Ina! Yo! Okay, I'm Ina-Maria Shikongo, all the way from Namibia. So I've come to the COP, the COP or the blah 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 conference, where they've just decided that 1.5 is unrealistic. What is really unrealistic is the fact that these leaders are still willing to continue the destruction of our homeland. Do you know what is happening in our country? Let me take a yeah.
You're so cute recently.
Do you want to know what's happening in my country?
Yeah.
Let me tell you a story. A company all the way from Canada has decided that it is going to do oil and gas extractions in the Kavango Basin, the home of the Kavango Delta. Have you heard of the Kavango Delta?
Yeah.
Oh. For those who don't know the Kavango Delta, I'm sure that you've seen the Lion King. So anyway, this is the home of our people, our San people, our First Nations, and apparently the oldest the Kavango Basin. My home, my ancestors, your ancestors. Now, I just want to ask the global leaders, why is it that they want to continue the trend of colonialism and slavery in our homelands? Why is it that these people, I will not insult them because I am about to, these people are telling us that we need oil. Namibia is a dry country. We are surrounded by 2 deserts. The Namib to the east, to the west, and the Kalahari to the east. But this Kavango Basin is literally the only place that can help us secure food security. Food prices are going up in Namibia. Now our water is being sacrificed, so this company that is now being sued by investors in the US for scamming the investors. But they are still poisoning our waters. What is that? That is a genocide. That is ecocide. And they should be ashamed of themselves. Alok Sharma, we are watching you. I am tired of being threatened. I am tired of being intimidated. And I made it here so I can tell my story. And today I am telling you people, what is going on there, that is some cooked up blah 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 bullshit. Sorry, I'm just gonna say it. That is supporting the system that has been oppressing our people. For 500 years, you came to our continent. You took our people. You enslaved them on your continent, not even your continent, on stolen lands. You are still enslaving people on that side. The First Nations from that side, you are still enslaving them. Indigenous people also have rights. Just because my color is black, it does not mean that I am a stupid person. Stop imposing your colonialist trends onto our people. We are tired. COP26, we are watching you. And we want you to please stop your bullshit. Thank you.
Next, we are going to have Ray from South Africa.
Thank you. Over here.
Hello everyone.
My name is Raisa Nur Mohammed, or Ray, and I'm from South Africa. Hi. And I'm an intersectional activist, and I call myself an intersectional activist because I believe that nothing can be viewed in isolation. And when we look at the climate crisis, you can't just look at it as a climate crisis, because it is rooted in colonization. It is rooted in stealing. Stealing from Indigenous people. And I want to tell you a bit about how I got here. So I got here because I know Eric. And Eric fought to get me a badge. And then when I got a badge, I was like, okay, cool. I have a badge. Yay. And I messaged a local climate group and I was like, I have a badge, but I'm probably not going to be able to go because I don't have funding. And so my activist friends in South Africa, they mobilized, we crowdfunded, we really, really pushed to get me here. Me being here, standing here was a team effort. And it took so much to get me, one person here. And it's beautiful how people came together, but it makes me so angry because there are so many people at home. And I'm not here representing South Africa. I'm not here representing youth. I'm not representing people of color. I'm representing Ray, and only Ray, because I have not lived anyone else's life. I don't know, I can't tell anyone else's story, and claiming to do that would be stealing their stories. And COP, we know, is disgustingly exclusive. It's a terrible, terrible event. It's got colonizers. It's a colonial event. And walking into COP, the first thing I see is a sign saying, we can change things together. And I'm like, who's we? Woo! Who's we? Who are you telling to change the Indigenous people? Are you telling us that we need to change things? Are you there's so much shaming of people for using plastic straws, not being vegan, but the climate crisis exists because of colonization. It exists because all the infrastructure, actually, this whole place, it exists because of colonization. It exists because they came to the global south, they stole our resources, and it's continuing because they continue to steal resources. And in there, they're not speaking about that, and they will never acknowledge the colonial roots of the climate crisis. They will never acknowledge it. And so in their talks, obviously they're not going to talk about reparations, because no one likes to talk about reparations. And I was doing an interview with the BBC last week, and when I was talking about how unequal it is, they had the audacity to ask me if me coming here makes me part of the problem. No! They asked a person of color from the global south if me coming to COP26 makes me part of the problem. Oh, sure! Yes! I told them, no one's gonna care if Ray doesn't go to COP26. No one cares. No one cares if I don't show up. I don't think there's any other opportunity for so many young activists to come together. And if we don't go, if I don't go, then all that means is that they are free to make their bullshit in peace without anyone stopping them. And I popped off. I popped up. I was like, listen, all that means is that they can do it without us, and we will not be silent. We are not going to let them do it in peace. We know that COP isn't going to change things. We know it's a lot of empty promises, but we're not going to let them do it in peace. We can't have climate justice without social justice. And the leaders aren't in there. They're not even here. My leaders are at home. My leaders are in communities. My leaders are the people. Yeah. Yeah. And I won't stop being angry, and I won't stop saying and fighting for my people to be listened to.
Lots of very angry young voices there, powerful speeches. We heard from Greta repeating the message of blah blah blah. We're here having to have a meeting in a park outside COP, outside the green zone, outside the blue zone, The youth are being ignored. They're screaming for climate justice. So yeah, we reported from earlier on from outside the conference. Now we're going to go to Mombiosa, George Mombie's show, and guests. So yeah, let's hear what George has to say.